Edie.
Hey there, Terrell.
What are you doing here?
Oh, my house burned down. And I needed to take a long, hot shower. So where are you off to? Looking so pretty.
Baby, it's Monday Night Football. Game starts in 10 minutes.
Oh, you and your little games. I've got a game we could play.
Edie, this is major. We've got Parcells and the Cowboys, and Donovan needs me.
Well, what about my needs? What about Edie?
Will you stop it? All of Philadelphia is counting on me.
Well, I can't help myself. I love you, T.O.
Then how about you tell me what's buried underneath that pool?
You know I can't tell you that.
Then I got a game to play.
Terrell, wait.
Oh, hell. Team's gonna have to win this one without me.
Oh, my God. Who watches this trash? Sex, lies, betrayal.
And that woman is just so desperate. Look.
I know what we should watch.
Are you ready for some football?
Don't touch that dial. Players and fans, come on, everybody say, Monday night rocks the old US of A. Come on and hit it. Come on and get ready. Are you ready for the football? A Monday night tradition. The NFL Big Show, 35th edition. Aaron and John are ready. Country snake! All my rowdy friends are here for Monday night!
Deep in the heart of Texas on this 15th night of November. That's downtown Dallas. And we come a few miles to the west to the suburb of Irving, to the famed hole in the roof, and to Texas Stadium, the longtime home of the Dallas Cowboys, who are ready tonight to take on Donovan McNabb, Terrell Owens, and the NFC East leading Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football. Al Michaels along with John Madden, Michele Tafoya. Welcome to Irving, Texas, and welcome to the second half of the season for each of these two teams. The Eagles with a mark of 7-1. The Cowboys are 3-5. Dallas made the playoffs last year in Bill Parcells' first season. Started out pretty good this year with a mark of 2-1, but now they have lost 4 of their last 5 and hit rock bottom last week, going to Cincinnati and losing to the Bengals 26-3. And in a word, Bill Parcells said, "We were lethargic." So tonight, game number 9 for them. If they can go to 4-5, they're still very much in the playoff hunt in the NFC East. If they go to 3-6, that's a different story. Now the Eagles with a mark of 7-1 came flying out of the gate, 7 straight wins. Then they lose last week. Pittsburgh jumped on them early and won the game 27-3 in Pittsburgh. But they have McNabb playing great. Terrell Owens is playing great. They've been to the NFC Championship game 3 years in a row, but have lost all 3. Will the 4th time be the charm? There's a saying in horse racing, when a horse has a lot of real good races and then throws in a clunker, John, they say it's a throwout race. So you look at last week's Philadelphia-Pittsburgh game. Is that a throwout game for Philadelphia, or were some warts exposed?
I think it's a throwout game, but having said that, they were whipped last week by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Andy Reid and his team knows that. And, you know, Andy's always talking about everything starts up front. He's talking about his offensive linemen and his defensive linemen. They didn't play well last week, so he challenged them. Offensively, they have to protect Donovan McNabb better. Defensively, they have to play better against the run.
They tried to go to 8-1 against Dallas. They made the playoffs last year. People didn't expect that. Was last year a false positive, or can Bill Parcells get this team to get hot and get into the playoffs again?
Yeah, I think last year they overachieved, and then so the expectations were real high for this year, and things just haven't gone well for Bill Parcells, and he's down. You know, he had the thing last week where he got on his team, he called them stupid, and you just talk to the players and the coaches of the Cowboys, they lack confidence, and what they need is a couple of big plays early in this game.
We always look forward to it on a Monday night. Great NFC East rivalry. Vinny Testaverde and the Dallas Cowboys against the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football. Here's tonight's McDonald's quarterback comparison. Now in his 6th year with the Eagles, Donovan McNabb has played well against the Cowboys with 11 touchdown passes and only 1 interception in his last 5 games against Dallas. Meanwhile, Dallas's Vinny Testaverde is hoping to get back on track. Vinny, who turned 41 Saturday, has thrown 3 interceptions in each of his last 2 games. The Visa Skycam flying around Texas Stadium tonight, goal line to goal line. Sideline to sideline before a full house in Irving, Texas, as Bill Parcells and the Dallas Cowboys take on Andy Reid's Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football.
ABC Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
His 2nd year as the Dallas coach, 17th year as a head coach in the NFL, 26th appearance in the glare of Monday Night Football for Bill Parcells. Always good for a story or 10. And with one of those, here's Michele Tafoya. Michele.
Well, Al, Bill Parcells smiled yesterday, and that's news because, as he told us, he hasn't smiled in about 2 weeks. He is exasperated with his team. He said he's never had a team quite like this one before, and he feels like he's failed because he can't get his players to do the simple things. His frustration peaked after last week's 26-3 loss at Cincinnati, and after that game, he had some pretty harsh words for his team. He said, "We're too stupid," and put the blame on himself for trying to put things into the players' hands. "We just stink," he added, referring to the players and the coaches, "and I'm ashamed of myself and my team," adding he didn't know where the Cowboys would go from here, if anywhere. Well, perhaps the players will determine where the Cowboys go from here. Vinny Testaverde telling us that he and 3 other veteran players, Richie Anderson, Keyshawn Johnson, and Eddie George, all came into this game with chips on their shoulders. They said they want to prove him wrong tonight, Al.
Thank you, Michele. You know, John, Bill, nobody sends a message better than Bill, and he has to keep thinking of creative ways to do it. As you can see, some team that starts 4-4 and 3 or 5 will go to the playoffs this year. That's guaranteed mathematically. But what about the message that Bill sent to his team this week?
Well, I think we're going to find out. I mean, that's one of those things that, you can, take the hard love and you're stupid and you're this and that and make guys, play harder, work harder, train harder, those kinds of things. Or they can just take the confidence out of them. Right now, as I said earlier, this is a Cowboy team coming into this game without a lot of confidence. And I'm talking about the players and the coaches.
Philadelphia will get the ball first. Billy Cundiff to kick off. The Eagles have been very good running back kicks. Roderick Hood is back there. Reno Mahe as well. And the return game for Philadelphia this year has been excellent. Hood from the 5 brings it back to the 27-yard line. Tackled by Roy Williams. Here are the Philly starters.
Donovan McNabb, Syracuse University.
Ryan Westbrook, Villanova.
Josh Perry, San Jose State.
Todd Pixton, Southern Miss. Terrell Owens, Tennessee Chattanooga. Chad Lewis, BYU.
Trey Thomas, DeLand Bulldogs.
Artis Hicks, Memphis.
Hank Fraley, Robert Morris University.
Jermaine Mayberry, Texas A&M Kingsville.
John Runyon, Michigan.
Good offensive line. Eagles with a fair running game this year. They've been throwing the ball a lot more than they've been passing it, and with great success. From the 26-yard line, McNabb starts with a pass, has to improvise, throws on the run, caught, first down, 12-yard gain. That's Greg Lewis, the number 4 wide receiver, tackled there by Terrence Newman.
Yeah, it was interesting. The Eagles come out with 4 wide receivers. Greg Lewis is number 83. He's in the slot. Now, the Cowboys come in a blitz, so what they did is they kind of flushed Donovan McNabb out of there. He had to move around, and then he kept looking downfield, and found Greg Lewis.
Eagles pass 63% of the time, run just 37%, which is very unusual for a team that is 7-1. And McNabb is going to launch one on the second play of the game. And the pass is incomplete. Todd Pinkston was trying to come up with an interference call. Officials don't buy it. Here's the Dallas defense.
That dude, Columbia.
Leo Carson, Auburn.
Roy Glover, San Diego State.
Greg Ellis, UNC. Al Singleton, Temple University.
Dad Wynn, Texas A&M.
Dexter Coakley, Appalachian State.
Terrence Newman, Kansas State.
Tony Dixon, Alabama.
Roy Williams, University of Oklahoma.
Lance Frazier, West Virginia University.
So you have Dat Wynn, that's his real name, and then you have Dat Dude, Marcellus Wiley from Columbia.
That dude just made that tackle, I think, and that's only about his 7th tackle of the year.
Yeah, he came over from San Diego, and he has been, right now, fairly non-existent in this Cowboy defense, but he stops Westbrook there after a gain of 3.
You know, that's one of the Cowboys' problems is they haven't been able to get any pressure on the quarterback with a 4-man rush. So it was interesting. The first 2 plays of the game, they blitzed. And I think that's why on that second one, Donovan McNabb went deep because he saw the safety, Roy Williams, coming on a blitz.
Look at that. The Eagles in the last 3 games, very poor on third down conversions. Shotgun, they spread out the field. And McNabb is under pressure and almost lost the ball. Has to cover it up. He got hit first by Greg Ellis, who came into the game with a team-leading 6 sacks. So he sends 5 receivers out into the pattern, works out of the shotgun, something he's been doing a lot more of this year, but gets sacked.
Yeah, you're going to see Greg Ellis here. He's working against John Runyon. He just gives him a quick Olay to the inside, and he's right on McNabb. You know, that's the bad news about spreading it out is you only have 5 blockers there.
Kirk Johnson to punt. The rookie Lance Frazier, who is starting at cornerback tonight, fumbles it and then is able to recover it at the 30-yard line. So a muff at a recovery, and let's take a look at the Dallas starting offense.
Vinny Testaverde, University of Miami.
Eddie George, The Ohio State University.
Darian Barnes, Hampton University.
Keyshawn Johnson, University of Southern California.
Quincy Morgan, Kansas State.
Jason Witten, Tennessee.
Flozo Adams, Michigan State.
Larry Allen, Sonoma State.
L. Johnson, Wisconsin.
Andre Gerard, University of Colorado.
Torrance Tucker, Southern Miss.
Now the Cowboys have been passing better than they've been running. Eddie George came over from Tennessee when the Titans let him go in preseason. He's averaging only 3.4 per carry. And they start with Eddie George, and that's a gain of only 1 to the 31. Let's take a look at Philadelphia's defense.
Javon Kearse, University of Florida.
Corey Simon, Florida State University. Don Walker, University of Tennessee.
Derek Burgess, Mississippi.
Dhani Jones, established 1817, the University of Michigan.
Jeremiah Trotter, Stephen F. Austin State University.
Mark Seminoff, Kansas State.
Lito Shepard, Florida.
Michael Lewis, Colorado.
Ryan Dawkins, Clemson.
Sheldon Brown, South Carolina.
We're going to see a lot more of Jeremiah Trotter as Jim Johnson's made some adjustments defensively on 2nd down and 8 now. Eddie George tries to cut it back and just can't. He can't because number 55 is right there. That's Dhani Jones making the tackle in his tracks.
You know, it's interesting. The Cowboys have come out with 2 tight ends, and that time they had the extra tackle in there, Kurt Vollers. He lined up on the right side, so they were trying to get that extra blocker there, you know, thinking that they can run on the Eagles. They try and get some power. Here's Vollers over here. So you have a tackle and a tackle here, and you try to get to that side to get them to knock them off the line of scrimmage. But what beat them there was the blitzing or the penetration of the linebackers.
3rd and 7. Anderson's the 3rd down back. Ritchie behind Testaverde. The tight end Jason Witten is their leading receiver, and Testaverde's going to take off, and he slides to a stop up at the 35. So the Philadelphia secondary did its job. Ike Reese gets credit for the tackle, and Dallas 3 and out on its first possession.
And I think the Eagles have to feel pretty good about their defense because last week they looked very, very soft against the Steelers. They didn't look soft on this first series.
Pittsburgh last week ran for 252 yards. Reno Mahe is back to receive. Matt McBriar grew up in Australia. Really booms this one. Fielded at the 8-yard line. And Mahe to the 16, and we have a first flag of the game as Mahe brings it back out to the 16-yard line. Ed Hockley is going to be making the call here. Meanwhile, the Eagles, for a moment, I think the Cowboys were contending that they had recovered a fumble. Brady James came away with the ball, but Hockley will tell us about the flag. I think the whistle had blown anyway. And Andy Reid is going to check out his chart. There was a fumble, but it was recovered.
Philadelphia's ball
by them.
was not a fumble. During the return, illegal block in the back by the receiving team, number 46. Half the distance to the goal. Philadelphia keeps the ball, first down.
Well, Hockley said there was no fumble, but we'll take a look on the replay as Mahe brings it back. And that, folks, was a fumble. Referee notwithstanding. Very interesting return on that fumble. You heard Hockley say no fumble. Clearly there was a fumble. We looked at it during the commercial, and Dallas actually recovered the ball. We didn't hear a whistle, but the ruling was that the play was dead. Penalty on Philadelphia, and they have the ball, and Dorsey Levens is the running back here from the 7-yard line, and the longtime Packer breaks through the left side of the line and takes it up to the 15-yard line. Let's go back to the punt. The Dallas Cowboys only 5 takeaways all season. Here's Mahe, clearly a fumble. We had the audio. We heard no whistle. Then there's a whistle there. You've got a penalty on the run back on Philadelphia, but not challengeable because Hockley said there was no fumble when he announced the call.
And it had to be a fumble, and that was a big play that the Cowboys needed. 2nd and 2,
and this is Brian Westbrook taking it up to the 21-yard line for a first down 5 minutes into the game. Brian Westbrook, John, as you know, has had to see more duty this year than was hoped by Andy Reid before the season, but he lost Terrell Buckhalter to injury again. He's gone for the year.
And knowing Andy Reid, and how much he likes to pass and call passes, a running back here, running back there, a lost running back, he just, well, the heck with it, I'll just throw more.
Which, as we say, he's done 63% of the time. 1st and 10, and again pressure punt on McNabb, but he escapes, looks downfield, will run it, and Donovan with a first down as he's finally taken down at the 32-yard line by Terrence Newman. He's running a lot less this year, is McNabb, but in situations like this, he still has that great improvisational ability.
Watch this defense. Maybe he saw it here. It's just a 3-man line. The Cowboys haven't used that this year, so maybe he sees that 3-man line. He sees them bunched up there, knows that if he gets through this first area here, that he can get to that yellow line and a first down.
12-yard gain for him.
And a 3-man line again.
Westbrook from Villanova in Philadelphia. Andy Reid watched him when he was playing in college, and he picks up about 3. And Westbrook, who they drafted, and he was the kind of guy he looks like, and he has the skills of a third down back. And all of a sudden now he's proven to be a lot more than a third down back, and a very valuable man and a great kick returner, as the New York Giants will tell you.
Yeah, and he's a threat as a runner, and I think you just have to spell him a little to keep him fresh. But as you look at his body there, he has pretty big legs. He's just kind of short. I mean, he's not a little guy. He's stocky, and he's a pretty powerful runner.
2nd and 7 up at the 37-yard line. Owens on an end around, and Terrell Owens gets taken down a little short of the first down. That's Lance Frazier, a rookie from West Virginia, and the 5th different Cowboy to play right cornerback, but he gets shaken up. So they finally, because of injuries and other situations, wind up playing a 5th different cornerback, and now he's down.
This is one of the things that the Eagles said that they wanted to do, was run an end around to Terrell Owens because he's such a good runner in the open field. Watch Frazier there. It looks like he just gets a knee right in the head.
And now Nathan Jones is the right cornerback. He is a rookie from Rutgers on 3rd down and 1. McNabb, he's going to go deep on 3rd and 1, and double covered was Freddie Mitchell on the play. 4th down. McNabb says, my fault.
McNabb is very, very conscious of spreading the ball around. I mean, he has Terrell Owens now, but he just doesn't want to become one-dimensional. He wants to get, he wants to get the ball to Pinkston, his other wide receiver, Freddie Mitchell, the third wide receiver, his tight end. Get everyone involved in the game and not just look at one guy all the time.
Dirk Johnson will punt, and because Frazier is hurt, he had run back the first punt. Patrick Creighton, a rookie, will run this one back. It's a line drive kick that Creighton fields at the 18-yard line. Hit at the 24 and then pushed back and winds up whence he came, from the 18 up to the 24 and back to about the 18. Roderick Hood makes the hit halfway through the opening quarter in Texas. No score. Vinny Testaverde turned 41 Saturday. He's been around, of course. He won the Heisman at Miami in '86 and started his career with some pretty bad teams in Tampa Bay. Then went to Cleveland when Bill Belichick was the head coach there. From there, east to Baltimore for 2 seasons. Played well there. Then he went to New York. When he went to the Meadowlands, that looks like he went to Utica in the middle of the state, but you get the idea. And then he winds up in Texas, in Dallas in 2004, when it looked like he was going to be the backup to Quincy Carter. And in the big story of the Cowboy preseason, Carter got released. And now Quincy, of course, is the starting quarterback in New York with the Jets, with Chad Pennington hurt, and played well yesterday despite losing to Baltimore. And that's Rashard Lee out of the backfield for a gain of 1.
And you see who makes the play. It's Jeremiah Trotter. And that was one of the things that the Eagles felt that they had to shore up, was the middle of their defense, and the 2 defensive tackles and the middle linebacker. Now Jeremiah Trotter has come back, and he's starting at middle linebacker, and their normal middle linebacker, Mark Simino, has moved to the weak side linebacker, so they're playing both of them.
2nd and 9. You saw the graphic. Testaverde 6 picks in the last 2 games, and that's incomplete at the feet of Jason Witten, so it's 3rd down. And Testaverde, on all 6 interceptions in the last 2 games, they were on passes intended for Keyshawn Johnson.
And that's the thing, we were just talking about Donovan McNabb trying not to do to Terrell Owens, that you kind of have one favorite receiver, a guy you know the best, the most veteran, a guy you feel you have to get the ball to. Then the defense knows that too, and you look at them all the way, and if you throw it a little off, it's going to be an interception because they pay so much attention to him.
Cowboys missing Terry Glenn, injured and gone for the season. He'd have been a big part of the offense. 3rd down and 9. Vinny over the middle, guns it incomplete. Keyshawn Johnson covered well that time by the linebacker Ike Reese. So Vinny goes to the bench. They'll punt again with no score.
And you say, where does Ike Reese come from? We talked about the middle linebackers. Ike Reese plays a middle linebacker in nickel. So that was a 5 defensive back. And then when they go to nickel, they put Ike Reese in, who's a very good tackler and a good cover guy and a good special teams guy. They put him in as middle linebacker.
McBride. Rush was on, but he gets it away. Fielded 38-yard line. This time it's Lito Shepherd, one of the starting cornerbacks for the Eagles, to the 41-yard line. Some decent field position this time for McNabb and company. 6.5 to go in the quarter. Philadelphia nothing, Dallas nothing on Monday Night Football. Banners, the last 3 Cowboy championships. Jimmy Johnson's pair and Barry Switzer's one on the left, 1995. Barry winning 1 in his 4 years here. Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones coming together in '89 and winning a couple. From the 41 now, Philadelphia on 1st down. McNabb under pressure again, and the Dallas secondary, at least at the outset tonight, doing very well. Now, we talked about Keyshawn Johnson and 6 picks on passes intended to him in the last 2 weeks. Take a look at this. If you match up McNabb and Owens on passes intended to Owens, I mean, that's phenomenal. 62% completion. And look at this. 9 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a pass rating, you can compute that too, 131.3. That's the same thing it would be for, for a quarterback, but it's a quarterback only to 1 receiver. So they've been tremendous.
Right, and a big part of that is McNabb, but Terrell Owens being physical is also a part of it.
And that pass is caught by Owens. It was a low throw. He breaks away. He's inside the 10, and he will score. And that rating will go up a couple of notches. And a little skater's waltz here in the end zone. 59 yards.
That's what the Cowboys were worried about, that run after the catch. Watch him. He lines up on the left side. He's coming in motion across the field. So the cover guy comes with him. Then they hit him on a slant. But right now, that's okay, but you have to tackle him. The Cowboys had 3 guys there. They didn't make a tackle. When this guy catches the ball, you have to surround him and get bodies on him. When you don't, that happens.
That pass a little low, but he made it look like a piece of cake. No problem. David Akers to the point after. So we put up that graphic to show you what they've done. Then he catches his 10th touchdown pass of the season. That's tops in the league, and with 6:10 to go in the quarter, Philly strikes first. 7-0 Eagles. These guys love to clown around. Last week, you saw the video, if you watch ESPN or any sports cable channels over the air 100 times, about Owens yelling at McNabb, and people made a big deal of it at first, and they poo-pooed it, and they said he's just trying to get him stirred up. So they're mugging for the cameras tonight as they were able to connect on a 59-yard touchdown reception, and Rashard Lee brings it back up to the 25-yard line, and Dallas will start from there. So the Dallas Cowboys in early hole.
I was just going to say, we can never assume they're not aware, can we?
They're always aware. Monday Night Football next week originates in Kansas City, where the Chiefs will host the Super Bowl champion New England Patriots. Pats Chiefs next Monday night. Now from the 25-yard line. Gain of 1 for Richie Anderson.
One of the things that Jim Johnson, the defensive coordinator, said about his defense is, you know, he liked them because they were small, but they were quick. And he said he realized that sometimes he's going to have to change something. So you see Corey Simon, Darwin Walker, they were the 2 tackles. And Nate Wayne was a weak side linebacker. And Mark Semino was the middle linebacker. So here's the way they're going tonight. Corey Simon, more of Sam Rayburn, number 91, and then Jeremiah Trotter at the middle linebacker, and Mark Semino over at the weak side linebacker.
And right now exploiting that new middle is Richie Anderson as he picks up Dallas's first down. And to this point, when this drive started, the Eagles had outgained the Cowboys 100 yards to 8.
I think anytime you're a Cowboy, you're going to run, you run right behind this guy. He gets one here, then he comes up to the next level. When Larry Allen man blocks, there's no one better. You see him get Rayburn, then he comes up and gets a linebacker, and that's where Richie Anderson went.
Now 35-yard line. They've got Eddie George as the tailback. Anderson is also in the pattern, and there goes a flag, and that's an easy one to call, as Quincy Morgan, who came over in a trade a couple of weeks ago that San Antonio Bryant to Cleveland, the ex-Brown, gets pulled down by Sheldon Brown.
And Vinny Testaverde had to get rid of that one quickly. The blitz was coming.
Number 24. The ball is placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
As I was saying, they're playing, they're blitzing, so Sheldon Brown knows that he has the inside, and he had pretty good position, but then he just kind of lets Quincy Morgan get inside of him. You see, once you do that and you have the blitz and you see the 3-step drop, then you have to take away the inside. You can't let that guy get inside of you on the slant move.
From the 43-yard line, trying to get a ground game going. This is Anderson again. And Richie takes the ball up to the 47-yard line. That's a pickup of 4, and Sheldon Brown is there for the stop.
Richie Anderson is another one of those guys that Bill Parcells brought with him from the Jets, he and Vinny, and I think he's playing both of them more than he really thought he was. I think, you know, Vinny, when he brought him over, was going to be a backup to Quincy Carter, and Richie Anderson, you know, is a good third down back. He's a good pass receiver, good blocker, those kinds of things. But sometimes he looks like the best runner on this team.
The guy they're waiting to come back from injury, Julius Jones, the second-round choice out of Notre Dame. Testaverde throws, and that's caught across the 50, but short of the first down. They drafted Julius Jones in the second round, and some Cowboy fans thought they should have gone after like Steven Jackson. They had a chance to get him, who wound up with St. Louis. But Jones is a guy they hope can help them, but he's been hurt, and he's only played in one game and played in that one sparingly this season.
And he broke his shoulder, so he's in pretty good shape. I was watching him work out the other day, and because it's his shoulder, he's been able to do all the cardiovascular stuff, and when he comes back in a week or so, he's going to be fresh, but he's going to be in very good shape.
3rd and 2, and it's an empty backfield here. 3 receivers to the right, 2 to the left. Testaverde gets it off, and what a catch is made by a spinning Eddie George, and then he has it taken away by Mark Simoneau. So Simoneau gets beat on the pass and then turns it around and takes the ball out of Eddie George's hand. And Eddie George, who is known for almost never fumbling, has that one taken right out of his grasp, and Philadelphia gets it on the takeaway.
We were just saying that Mark Simoneau is now the weak side linebacker, so when the running back splits out like Eddie George did, he has to go out and cover him like a corner. He didn't cover him very well, but at the end of the play, he stripped him very well. Like you say, Eddie George never fumbles, but that was a heck of a catch, wasn't it? And I think Vinny kind of threw it that way, you know, a little behind him to that back shoulder and away from Simoneau.
And there it is. He has fumbled during that period of time, but hasn't lost one. 698 touches, runs, and receptions, and then coming into the backfield to make the tackle there is Tony Dixon. So Tony Dixon stopping Bryant Westbrook.
You know, and these are the kinds of things that I think happen to you. You know, when you get on a losing streak and things go wrong, and you know, like you have that fumble, they don't call it a fumble. You make a reception, you're running down the field with it, you get it stripped, and it's going back the other way. These are things that makes Bill Parcells' hair get whiter and whiter, and Jerry Jones's hair also get whiter and whiter.
That's the first time in his career George has lost a fumble following a reception, and Terrell Owens gets taken down, trying to get the first down, but Frazier, who was hurt earlier and is back in the game, is able to stop him just shy. And here's Michele.
Well, Al, Terrell Owens had that big play early in the quarter, as you talked about, and Brian Dawkins, his teammate, says Terrell Owens brings an explosive personality and player to this team that people have to watch him on every single down. He says he's a guy who speaks his mind, and I would never try to get in the way of that. He's also a fun-loving guy. And he said that, you know, in the locker room, if people thought that his problems in San Francisco would leak over, they haven't, Al.
Certainly not to this point. 3rd down and 1, and that's a great tackle made by Terrence Newman to stop what would have been a first down from Brian Westbrook. So Newman with a big play, and following that fumble, the Cowboy defense able to rise to the occasion and stop Philadelphia from marching down the field.
You know, we always think of corners as cover guys, but when you run a sweep, that corner has to get up to the outside and be the force guy. Watch Terrence Newman here. He sees the sweep, he sees it come to the outside, he gets upside. Now he's a contained guy to cut it back in, but he also made the tackle.
Kirk Johnson's 3rd punt of the quarter. Lance Frazier will run this one back. Rookie from West Virginia. Low, one hopper. Frazier muffed it again. The ball is loose. That's the 2nd time Frazier muffed a punt. And let's see how costly this one might be.
Look at those officials, 4 of them digging in there to see who has the ball.
Philly. And so the Cowboys, who can't take the ball away and haven't done it this season, and we saw Frazier got hurt before. He'd muffed an earlier punt, muffs this one. He's hurt again, and with a minute to play in the period, it is Roderick Hood, number 29, who will wind up recovering the fumble.
He just got his hands too close to his body. You always have to catch that thing out in front of you, because as he took his eyes off the ball, it hit him right on the shoulder pad. You see it goes in there and it comes off his hands right to his shoulder pads when his eyes looked up. Watch him, he's here, and he doesn't look it into his hands. In fact, he looked over to his right a little, didn't he?
He's not used to returning punts. Dedrick Ward has been their main punt returner this season, but he is inactive tonight, and the Cowboys have turned it over twice in the quarter.
And that's just another one of those things that drives a coach crazy. I mean, you have a guy running down the field and he gets stripped. you finally stop them, you play good defense, you force them to punt, and you fumble the punt.
And now McNabb will try to cash in, and he gets to the 9-yard line on a pass to Josh Parry, first-year player out of San Jose State, playing fullback. John Ritchie gone for the season.
And one of the things that, you know, most teams, when they get into red zone now, they've gone to the run. And it seems like the successful teams do run in the red zone. The Eagles are one of the teams that still pass most of the time when they get in this area.
A lot. And McNabb is normally very on target. This time they run, they give it to Westbrook, and he chugs inside the 5, and we'll see where they spot it. Looks like it'll be a first down. Philadelphia very productive in that red zone. And as you can see in terms of the run-pass ratio, there it is. They pass the ball about 2 out of 3 times. As you can see, the NFL average, teams run the ball 53% of the time. And the clock ticks down. They'll switch sides of the field. It's the end of the first quarter. Philadelphia on top of Dallas 7-0. And Monday Night Football resumes after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Sunday Night Football in Texas, down in Houston. Green Bay and the Houston Texans next Sunday at 8:30. Back now in Dallas. Here's a look at downtown. Al Michaels, John Madden, and Michele Tafoya. On this 15th night of November, temperature at game time was 62 degrees. Rained off and on today. Could have some sprinkles tonight. Second quarter, Philly up 7-0. First and goal from the 4-yard line. And McNabb over the middle, and the pass is incomplete, leading the tight end L.J. Smith. Second down.
Yeah, we were talking about, you know, Bill Parcells and the crazy plays and the stuff that was going on and dumb things. Look at this. Vinny Testaverde, an 18-year veteran, lines up behind the left guard. Didn't even get behind the center, and that was the pass that he completed to Eddie George. Eddie George makes a heck of a catch, then he gets it stripped. So the thing starts out discombobulated and ends up discombobulated.
He looked pretty cool, though, as he moved to the other side. As Dorsey Levens takes the handoff and goes into the end zone for the touchdown. And so the Dallas Cowboys pay the price after the Frazier muff, after he loses it, after they turn it over 2 times. And it's 13-0 going on 14.
You know, Andy Reid said that he challenged his big guys. Watch his left guard here, Artis Hicks. He just gets the drive. You get on your guy, and if he wants to slant that way, just keep him going that way. Dorsey Levens starts at Artis Hicks and cuts right off him.
David Akers for the extra point. $14-0. Natives getting a little restless. 7 seconds into the second quarter. Philadelphia on top 14-0. Dallas has turned it over twice, and then they were not a beneficiary of a run-back call that was a fumble that the Cowboys should have recovered deep in Philly territory in the first quarter. This is Rashard Lee, and he's going to run it back. And that gets the crowd back into it, all the way out to the 47 on some very tough running by Rashard Lee, who finally gets taken down at midfield by Matt Ware. The Cowboys, when trailing by 8 or more, have lost their last 12 regular season games, and they're in that position right now. And on the other side of the coin, the Eagles are terrific when they jump on you first.
And as Bill Parcells knows, I mean, he doesn't have a big, high explosive offense, so he's going to have to get some plays in other areas if he's going to get back in this game. I mean, his defense is going to have to give him a play, a special teams play, like that kickoff return there. Just gave him a little life. You know, you get your crowd here. The crowd wants to get in the game, but the crowd can't be in the game if you don't give them something to yell about.
Well, Lee gave him a little something, and I mentioned before, when Philadelphia jumps on you, when they take a lead of 10 or more points, they're 46-1. The only big lead they've blown in that period was opening day in 2002 at Tennessee. From the 48-yard line. Great play fake. Look at that time and space, and it pays off with a pass to the tight end, the emerging star Jason Witten, who the defensive coordinator Jim Johnson of the Eagles likened last night to Shockey. He says he's a Shockey-like, meaning Jeremy Shockey-like tight end, first down of the 30.
Yeah, and this, as you said, Al, watch this play fake. Here's where it all starts, because if you're going to throw to your tight end, you have to suck these linebackers up. Get them to come in to step up. You see them all step, all three of them come, then you can get your tight end away from them and in behind them.
Testaverde now moving into 6th place all-time in passing yardage. Richie Anderson, he eclipses the mark of our good buddy Dan Fouts. Of course, Foutsy wants everybody to know that Vinny's played a few more games than Dano did.
Yeah, Vinny's an 18-year veteran, and Dan was just saying that he never lined up behind the left guard to take the ball in his life. So that was when you play 18 years.
Dano looking on in Sisters, Oregon right now, contemplating a comeback. 2nd down and 9 at the 30-yard line. Richie Anderson is the back. Quincy Morgan is the man in motion. Pressure from the backside. Then he gets it away to Witten. And Witten tight ropes the sideline and gets in for a touchdown. That is exactly what the Cowboys needed. Great run back. Big play to Witten to the left side, and a perfect pass as Michael Lewis blitzes and gets to Testaverde, but Vinny gets it away.
And you see Jason Witten, he gets on a linebacker there, he gets on Semino, and he runs like a short out and up. He gets him to believe that he's going short out, and then he just goes straight up the field, and Vinny Testaverde hits him perfectly. I don't think you can cover Witten with the linebacker.
That's his 4th touchdown reception of the season. He's their leading receiver. Witten has now caught 47 balls this season. Billy Cundiff out of Drew Henson's hole for the point after. And so the Cowboys in dire straits early in the 2nd quarter get back into the game in a big hurry. 14-7. One of the funniest men in television, George Lopez. His show is on Tuesday night here in Dallas. Great to see him.
You know, I've achieved football mecca. To be in the booth with you guys on Monday Night Football. I'm not even a desperate housewife, and I'm getting this kind of love.
Are you still a Raider fan?
Well, I'm reformed, John. You know, I love you. You know, it's like Castro and the Cubans. You know, who's going to fall first, Castro or Al Davis? I'm waiting.
I don't know who to bet on there. Roderick Hood brings it back to the 23-yard line. Hey, you got this thing started this year. We had the Thursday night game, Indianapolis at New England.
Right.
We did, and you were there, and you emceed everything that happened on. That was some night in New England.
It was awesome. The night they got the rings, it was exciting. I mean, football is football. This is traditional football to me. To have Parcells degrade his team. You know, I didn't know he was Latino until I heard him say, "You're stupid. I'm ashamed to be with you. I don't want to be seen with you." I'm like, you know what? He would fit. So I'm inviting him over for Thanksgiving. He's so perfect for us.
Is that coach talk or is that Latino?
that is coach talk. That's great. Yeah. Nowhere else can you degrade your team and still, you know, be the tuna.
Yeah, he sent them some message last week, and they just did respond after they fell behind 14-0. And now McNabb from the 23-yard line on 1st down. Owens is able to shove Frazier aside like he was a kid and takes it up to the 40-yard line. You talk about a guy who's fun to watch and an impact player, George. There he is.
You know, it's hard to think you could make Keyshawn Johnson disappear, but T.O. has done that.
Well, he does. I mean, he's such a big, strong, powerful guy. You know, you don't even have to, you know, always get him the ball deep. I mean, you can hand it to him in reverse, hand it to him in a short one, hand it to him on a slant, or throw it to him on a slant, and he can just run through any defense.
That last play looked like a father with 2 kids in the yard going, "Okay, tackle daddy."
he just pushed Frazier aside as if he wasn't even there as Westbrook now cuts it back. And Westbrook takes it up to the 44-yard line. Show going well. You're in season number
3. Show's going great. You know, in this age of reality programming, it's just really nice to be an actor and to be working. You know, we used to think Latinos were the largest minority on TV. I think it's actually writers and producers now that have overtaken us as.
Yeah, it's 3 and out a lot for those guys. 3 weeks and out.
3 weeks and out. So it's great. I mean, you know, to not have to. worry for the next year about work is nice. You know that.
Well, you do a great job.
Oh, thank you, John.
You're terrific, man.
I'm in between tea times, that's all.
I know what you mean. George Lopez. George, thank you, man.
Boys, I love
terrific.
you.
Okay.
Johnny, take care.
Okay, George. You too.
George on every Tuesday night. Tomorrow night, 2nd down and 6 now from the 44-yard line. And it's Levens and Dorsey Levens, who had come and gone. They had picked him up last year, and then they had released him, and then you had Buckhalter hurt, and they got him back. And Dorsey, so many productive years with Green Bay, 14 yards there on a 1st down.
And the first thing you have to do, if you're going to bounce it to the outside, you have to get a good block here by the tight end. Get this corner here. And you can see with the end playing inside, they know that they're going to get that corner. So they block down on him and then kick out the outside guy, and they run through that gap.
From the 42 on 1st down. Levens again, and Levens across the 40 to the 39-yard line.
Levens has always been a very good change of pace back, but I always thought of him more as a 3rd down back, a receiver type, and here in Philadelphia they like him as a short yardage and goal line back. I never really thought of Dorsey Levens as a goal line back, but I guess if Brian Westbrook isn't, then Dorsey Levens has to be.
Levens 2,000-yard seasons with the Green Bay Packers, closing in on 5,000 career rushing yards. 2nd down and 7. McNabb stays in the pocket, throws, and has another 1st down as that catch is made by Chad Lewis, the tight end, to the 27-yard line to the field in Michele.
Well, Philly running back Reno Mahe is back in the locker room getting his injured right ankle looked at, guys. So the good news is Dorsey Levens, as you mentioned, a good change of pace back. He told me before the game he's finally in football shape. It took him a while because he missed camp. He said, as much as I hate camp, I'd love to have at least 2 weeks of it. He's filling in nicely tonight, and he said, it's so obvious, John, that he's a change of pace back. He said, when I come in, they know exactly what play is going to be called. My mom knows. We got to disguise them better.
It used to be there would always be a pass anytime Dorsey Levens would come in, and now it's a run.
Play fake to the end zone goes McNabb, and how in the world does Owens get that open? Touchdown, Philadelphia. I mean, if there's one guy in the world that should be magnetized for a secondary, it's 81.
You know, and that was the thing that they said, we have to double cover Terrell Owens. We have to know where he is at all times. And you have the double here and you have the double here, but they just dropped the coverage. You have to get on him. You have to hit him right there. And you see it's a double. The corner was playing him short. The safety was getting him deep. The corner didn't get any bump, and the safety didn't get over. Roy Williams.
Akers makes it 21-7, so Dallas answered quickly, and then Owens says, hold on a second. That's 4 catches for 111 yards, 2 TDs for T.O.
You talk about guys that are good players, and then you talk about impact players. Terrell Owens is definitely an impact player.
You know, I'm wondering with the flag here, if it's not taunting in the sense that you all know about the story where Owens, as a 49er.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, Dallas, number 76. That's a 15-yard penalty that will be enforced on the kickoff. The try is good.
That's on Dallas. When we come back, we'll show you with Owens a little history here of dancing on the star. This time he goes to the end zone star. The mini star. Well, he is a star. 21-7. Next week, Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City is the site. The Kansas City Chiefs taking on Tom Brady and the New England Patriots on top of the AFC East, looking great again Monday night. New England, Kansas City, as Akers, because of that penalty, gets the kickoff from the 45-yard line. Touchback. Now Owens, as a 49er, you'll recall the incident in 2000, scores a touchdown for the 49ers and then goes all the way to midfield. There's a big star in the middle of the field, and then Emmitt Smith comes out and he reclaims the star, and then there goes Owens again, and here comes George Teague to knock him down. And now tonight he knows he can't do that again, But there he goes to the mini star in the end zone. Same move.
Yeah, if the Cowboys don't like that, then they just better cover him. I mean, and again, it's another thing that drives a coach crazy. They have him double covered. They have the corner up, the safety over, and he just runs a corner right between both of them.
Richard Lee, gain of 1. Here's Michele.
Well, that's exactly what Greg Ellis told me, John. Greg Ellis said that he, Dexter Coakley, and Darren Woodson remember that star dance from the year 2000. The only way to keep Terrell Owens from doing it again was by keeping him out of the end zone. They didn't do it. They knew he was going to have stuff planned. Greg Ellis telling me, you know how we game plan for games? Terrell Owens dance plans. He celebrate plans, and they knew he'd be ready tonight, guys.
Well, tonight he's had 2. He had that skater's waltz, which I hadn't seen before on the first one, very placid. And then he did, I guess, a star turn is what you call it.
Yeah, but he has to have confidence that he's going to score if he works on those things.
2nd and 8, and he does. And it's not in the air. Javon Curse, another of the big offseason acquisitions, who played so well with Tennessee, was a free agent, and Philadelphia locked him up.
He's over Torrin Tucker, the right tackle, and that's the first time we've heard of Javon Curse. Here he is, and one of the quickest and best pass rushers from that angle. But I hate that pass protection where you block the tackle down and then you let the back block the defensive end. I've never agreed with that. I mean, it's big in the NFL, and I'm not sure why they think that the tackle can go block someone else and leave Javon Curse come and a back pick him up.
And I see why you think that after a play like that. 3rd down and 8. Testaverde to the sideline, and that's incomplete, intended for Johnson, and it was 24 Sheldon Brown, not even looking at the pass coming in, who was able to get his body between Johnson and the ball, and Dallas is forced to punt.
I don't know if that just wasn't his head that he got in there. You just look at the middle receiver right here, the slide. Here's Sheldon Brown here, and I think he just kind of turns. Watch, he rides him. He knows he has help deep, so he can play it underneath. No, he did hit it with his right hand. I don't know how he saw it.
Felt it coming. Got a hand up.
And a rear view mirror.
McBriar. Lito Shepard is back to receive it and pulls it in with a fair catch at the 32-yard line with 8:48 to play in the opening half. And what a night for Terrell Owens, Donovan McNabb, and the Eagles to this point, trying to go to 8-1 and on top by 14 at Texas Stadium. From the 33, Philadelphia begins this drive. Westbrook has a lot of room to roam, and through the middle he goes, very close to a first down across the 40-yard line. To put it down at the 42, a little short of the first.
Andy Reid has things going his way now, and he has very good mixture. He's always been kind of pass heavy. You know, I mean, he's kind of a 60-40 pass to run type of guy, but tonight he's very close to 50-50. He has 14 runs and 12 passes thus far.
And a 14-point lead halfway through the second quarter. 2nd down and 1. McNabb stepping away from the pressure, launching one deep downfield, one-on-one, and that one's taken by Todd Pinkston for the touchdown. He took it away from Jacques Reeves, and that's a 59-yard Philadelphia score.
Yeah, Jacques Reeves just went in there for Lance Frazier, and they were going to work on him. They put Pinkston down here on the left side, and he just takes off. See, Reeves is looking back. He starts on the outside, gets inside him, and then because McNabb can run and buy time, you can get this on the other end. Pinkston knew that McNabb was still alive, so he kept going. And then he just gets in a jump ball situation, and he out-jumps Reeves.
Last year, Dallas #1 in the league in defense and #1 in pass defense, and just getting shredded tonight. At 59-yarder, as Akers makes the extra point, matches the 59-yarder that started the scoring to Owens. And Bill thinking about, I don't know, Saratoga Springs. 28-7 Philadelphia. Eagles on top 28-7. Each of these teams last week held without a touchdown. Philadelphia losing 27-3 at Pittsburgh. Dallas losing 26-3 at Cincinnati. But Philadelphia back with a flourish tonight. 268 yards for the Eagles. Bill Parcells in a game he knows his team really has to win. It's very tight in the NFC. 4-5, and you're back in the hunt. 3-6. Boy, that is some road ahead. Cowboys with their first game of 3 over an 11-day period, and they're down by 3 touchdowns. This is Terrence Copper from the 7-yard line. Back up to the 30. Take a look at the NFC right now. And in the East, it's Philadelphia. Atlanta in the South, 7-2. What a job Jim Mora Jr. is doing there. Green Bay has now vaulted to the top in the North. 4 straight wins. St. Louis 5-4, leading Seattle. And they're your wild card contenders. And as you can see, with the wild card, you'll have 2 of those teams will go into the playoffs. Giants, Seattle, and Minnesota right now are all 5-4.
And that's assuming that Green Bay and St. Louis keep their positions, because that's what I feel you do. You kind of get yourself in position the first half, then you make the run the second half.
Eddie George to the 30. Crowd starts to boo. Of course, what the crowd is going to start to do here, and I can already hear murmurings, is Drew Henson is the quarterback. I mean, Vinny's 41 years old. He's done a pretty good job this year. There's the likely future. And Bill Parcells this week knew he'd be asked about it and dismissed the question by saying, what do you want me to do? Bring in a guy who's barely played, who's been playing baseball over the past few years, and put him in here. And I think the underlying thing, John, to me, was if you bring in Henson at this point, you're saying, you know what, we're thinking about next year.
Well, and that's what Bill Parcells doesn't want to do, because like you were just saying, 3 games in 11 days.
Free play here on a defensive penalty, and Keyshawn Johnson makes the catch and is forced out of bounds. So they're going to give him the catch at the 48-yard line, and then a force out on the hit by Michael Lewis.
And I don't know that Vinny Testaverde is the problem. I think if Drew Henson could come in and play cornerback for him, that may help this team.
Great point.
But here they jump off sides. You see, he gives him a little hard count. He knows that he has to do something. They were in a cover 2 where the corner comes up and the safety goes back, and you can see Keyshawn Johnson just gets in that hole behind the corner and in front of the safety. Donovan McNabb was there signaling 1 foot inbounds.
Johnson now with 2 catches tonight. That one good for 22 yards. Ball at the Eagles 48-yard line. Eddie George stopped for a loss of 1. We talked about Parcells and what he said in his press conference about Henson last week. Here it was.
We obviously can throw the ball better than we could last year. Okay, now we've had a little drop off in the receiver since we've had some injuries. But why would you, at this point in time, take an unproven guy who has not played football in 3 years and throw him into this with the adversity that he has to face now?
That was earlier in the week. At some point, though, you wonder when Henson, if Dallas does fall completely out of contention, get that look. Eddie George stays on his feet, gets it to the 41-yard line, 3 yards shy of the first. 3rd down upcoming.
I think that was more than that. I think that was a coach that needs a win. It needs a win desperately, because, as a coach, too, you can talk about, your confidence, and coaches lose confidence, too. And I think that Bill Parcells and his team have both lost some, and the only way you can get it back is to change things around. And the way they're playing, I don't know if or when it can come back, because the one thing that always used to save a Bill Parcells team was his defense and his running game.
And this defense getting shredded tonight. 3rd and 3, and it's caught by Anderson, and they're able to move the chains. We talked to Parcells yesterday. He said some interesting things, John. I mean, one was clear. He says a win tonight changes everything. I thought we'd be quite a bit better this year. He said, I haven't had a team like this. And then he described this team as, his words were, dead quiet, kind of still.
Yeah, and I think that, when you have injuries, then you bring in guys, and you're bringing guys in from other teams' practice squads, and, like Frazier, I mean, he came in from the Ravens practice squad, and he's starting and trying to cover Terrell Owens. That brings about silence, because a lot of these guys don't even know each other that are playing together.
From the 33 on 1st down, end around, they give it to Morgan. And the ex-Brown has no place to go. Boy, that was sniffed out perfectly by Lito Shepard and Jeremiah Trotter. Loss of 1.
I'll tell you one thing, this Eagle defense was shredded last week by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they didn't play very well at all. They didn't play very aggressively. But tonight they are. I mean, they're stopping up the middle, because the Cowboys started and they tried to run in here and they couldn't do it. So then they started trying to run to the outside, with sweeps and reverses like this, and the Eagles have them wherever they try and go.
2nd and 11. Dallas trying to run tonight. 6 different guys have carried the ball, but 2 yards per rush. Now they have to swing it out to Patrick Creighton, rookie from Oklahoma State. Sheldon Brown makes the tackle, Northwestern Oklahoma. And let's check in with Michele.
Well, if Philly's having a couple of defensive problems, it's because a couple of their starting defenders have gone to the locker room. Linebacker Nate Wayne questionable with a groin, and defensive tackle Corey Simon questionable. Sorry, it's Wayne questionable with a hamstring. Simon questionable with the groin. And as you guys know, Jim Johnson, the defensive coordinator, likes to rotate his guys. So that puts a little bit of a hitch in his plans, doesn't it, John?
Well, it does, because that's where he had the problems too. Is those inside guys, and the way Trotter's playing, though, I think that's a big benefit to him right now. That Nate Wayne wasn't playing as much because they moved Semino to Nate Wayne's position anyway.
Flag looked like Javon Curse was the guy who jumped, unless he was induced, and if he was the guy, it's going to be very close to a first down. It's 3rd and 5, but it may be inches shy. I can't tell from here at the moment. But if Curse is the guy, it'll move the ball to about the 23-yard line. And the question is, did he jump first or was he induced?
Well, he was in a joker position or a linebacker position.
The 5-yard penalty, which is 3rd down.
They try and move Javon Curse around, and they call it the joker position. And here he is right here, and he's in that linebacker position. See, he's going to rush from there. He's kind of lined up perpendicular. Then when he squares up, he's in the neutral zone. He's saying that he hit that timing perfectly. I don't know. He's very, very close to hitting it perfectly.
But doesn't get the call. And at least to compel the officials to get together. They're inches shy of the first down now. Eddie George and Darian Barnes comes in. Put Barnes over in the slot and then send him in motion. Fake to George. Then he's going to throw it. Then he's going to hit an open man, and that's the tight end, Jason Witten again. Touchdown, Dallas, 24 yards. And Bill Parcells knows all about a high-impact tight end. We're not making comparisons. He had Bavaro. I'm not saying that. But Jim Johnson had a very interesting discussion with us last night when he likened him to Jeremy Shockey.
And he's one of those guys that is a tight end that's big, 260 pounds, but also runs fast. He's a 4.6 40 guy.
Billy Cunda for the point after. Henson will hold. And so the Cowboys, one thing you can say for Dallas tonight, they're not going to go belly up. They've had every opportunity to. Things have gone Philadelphia's way, but Dallas trying to hang in.
Well, they come on a blitz, and you're going to see Witten is right here, and no one covers him. He's just the second guy in, and you start motion towards his side, and he just runs straight up the field. The 2 defenders go inside with the outside guy, and Jason Witten is left alone. See the 2 guys there? They go inside right now, and whoa, here's a tight end. That can make you an impact player when 2 go for 1 and none go for you.
I'm writing that down. 2 go for none. I like that. There's Dan Campbell, the tight end, the veteran, but he's obviously injured and gone for the season. And one Mr. Witten is their leading receiver, their impact player right now, and the guy who's, along with Vinny, keeping him in the game with 2 touchdown catches. And there he is. Take a look at that over the last 3.5 games right now. 8, 9, and 6 catches in the 3 complete games, and 3 in this one, which still has 3:23 to go in the opening half.
Don't you wonder, though, how sometimes defenses can forget to cover a Jason Witten, who's their leading receiver, or how the Cowboys cannot cover Terrell Owens, who's one of the top receivers in the whole game?
It's always amazed me how, like Jerry Rice in his prime, once in a while would get wide open. 7-yard line. Roderick Hood to the 25-yard line. 3:18 to play in the half. Owens, of course, wanted to leave San Francisco. Feeling was mutual. Wound up in Baltimore briefly, but wanted to wind up in Philadelphia, so a deal was effected. Take a look at Philadelphia. The highest single season totals the whole season. 63 receptions for the season since McNabb got there, and already Owens with 53. More yardage than any receivers had in an entire season, and more touchdowns than any receiver has had for an entire season. He's done it in a half a season plus half a game.
I asked him last night why he wanted to come to Philadelphia. He said 2 reasons: the head coach and the quarterback.
To the outside, that's short hop. Incomplete. Terrell Owens a little bit more.
The quality I most admire is honesty. My favorite cartoon is Super Friends. The person I admire most is my grandmother, Alice Black. I would love to meet Angelina Jolie. As a kid, I was really scared of whippings. I had to get the belt, and they wasn't little.
Wants to meet Angelina Jolie, but he did meet Nicolette Sheridan.
That's something when you have to go get the belt you're going to get whipped with.
2nd and 10 from the 25, and that pass is a little underthrown, intended for Freddie Mitchell.
Donovan McNabb was upset with himself because he's thrown 2 low balls in a row. And he knows it. I mean, you see he's patting, that's on me, that's on me. Well, the last 2 have been on him. That's one thing that, players, especially linemen, love in a quarterback. When they'll say, hey, once in a while, hey, my fault.
He's done that a couple of times tonight. And it's interesting, I think the last time he did it, too, was with Freddie Mitchell. 3rd and 10. 4-man rush. And then coming through at the last moment, but escaping, McNabb rolling to the outside, coming back this way, has a lot of room, is going to launch one. He was behind the line of scrimmage, and that is Freddie Mitchell making the catch.
That is amazing. That is Donovan McNabb. That's what a quarterback staying alive is. That's what a quarterback that played all over can do. That's what a quarterback that was a basketball player can do. That's what a quarterback that has great strength can do. That's what a quarterback that always keeps every play alive can do. Watch this, and then boom, launch it. No, but his players believe in him too, Al, because it's not, most times with that much time, receivers would quit. These guys both kept going deep.
That had to be, in terms of number of seconds, about as long a play as you'll ever see. And we'll take a look at that as Leonardo Carson nearly sacked him.
And that's where the strength comes in because you're going to see Carson come up there, and then he just twists right out of that. You say, how long did those defensive backs have to cover? Well, here it is.
And then a Favre-like throw going against the grain. So 14.1 seconds he ran around, and another 4 or 5 seconds at the end of the play, and that's 60 yards on a 3rd and 10.
And there's no defensive backs that can cover any wide receivers in the NFL that long. But again, the impressive thing, what McNabb did was very impressive. He picked up some blocks. That was impressive. But his receivers kept going. They never gave up on him.
And Nathan Jones, the guy who got beaten, Lynn Scott was there as well, but a 14-second runaround. And now a big hole as Levens takes the ball to the 7-yard line. Philadelphia had called a timeout to regroup after the catch, and that takes us to the 2-minute warning. And the Philadelphia Eagles tonight, 336 total yards in the first half, and up 28-14. 2 minutes to go in the opening half. Shootout here. Freddie Mitchell on the receiving end of that 60-yard bomb. 2nd down and 3 now for the Philadelphia Eagles from the 8-yard line. And they hand the ball off coming around from the outside is Greg Lewis, and they stop him very close to a 1st down. That was a 2nd down play. Appears to be just short, 3rd down and less than a yard from the 6. 45-year history of the team, and they're in jeopardy right now of yielding a 4th touchdown in a quarter.
I don't know in their 45-year history if they've ever seen many plays like they've seen from Donovan McNabb and his group this first half.
Donovan McNabb tonight, 260 yards throwing in the half. Levens is the running back. Levens has it, and Levens is able on 2nd effort to get the 1st down and nearly the touchdown. 1st and goal at the 1-yard line.
One thing I said, Dorsey Levens, I never really thought of him as a short yardage and goal line runner, but he does a pretty good job here. When you get down here, you just have to keep your feet going, and his offensive line does a good job. I mean, he didn't get much. He starts in the right. There's not much there, but look back here on this left side. He gets a soft spot because he kept his feet going and felt that backside.
1st and goal. They can milk the clock as well here at the end of the 1st half. Up by 14. And the handoff for the touchdown. Brian Westbrook taking it in for the score to make it a 3-touchdown advantage again.
And the Eagles have scored on their last 4 drives. You see Hank Fraley, the old center in there? He wasn't going to pick him up until they signaled touchdown. He left him on the ground, and then when they signaled touchdown, he said, okay, I'll pick him up. That's what a center has to look like. Yeah, I mean, you got a little wiggle going when you run, but that's okay. I mean, he's a smart guy. He calls all the protections, work very well with Donovan McNabb. But you can see the center, what he's trying to do is get up to that 2nd level. He knows that he can get by that 1st level. He has to get to the 2nd level. Westbrook is down there. They haven't signaled yet. See, no one's going to help him up until they signal touchdown.
You know, the question here is whether Parcells wants to challenge this. It's not even that, the Parcells, because it's inside 2 minutes, so it's upstairs. The guys upstairs have stopped it for the moment to take a look. It's where the ball is when your knee, in this case, hits the ground. But first.
Yeah, that's where it would be. But first.
But first. We have to have the guys
where
upstairs
he hits there.
Take a look at it.
I think it's a touchdown.
Looks to be. But it has to be looked at upstairs.
And then it has to be inconclusive that it's not a touchdown.
You know what happens inside 2 minutes? Here's a little tape from a recent game. Type of thing that the replay assistant and the guys upstairs go through.
Spot's the 1, Bob. All right. That puts up. That looks good, but I can't really bet.
It's good replay.
Here we go. I told you, here we go. Here we go. I'm going to show you. Go, yes. All right, watch his right foot. Ball, let's go back and make sure. Go back, Clayton. I want to make sure the ball doesn't touch the goal line. We see green between the knees, right? All right, now they touch the ball there. He grabs possession. All right, the only thing I'm worried about is does the ball touch on the goal line? I'm going to go to the elite line feed real quick, okay?
30 seconds. 5.
You're just going to leave it like it is?
3, 2, 1.
That's it. We're out of here.
All right, that's the type of thing going on right now. Ed Hockley goes over. The guys upstairs can talk to him. The question here, it's pretty close. I mean, when the butt hits, or tush, or tuchus, or whatever you want to call it, that's the end of the play.
Yeah, that equals a knee.
Right. 1 tush equals a knee. So when it goes down, where's the ball? And, you know, it's so minute. How in the world do you determine whether you're in or out?
But again, because it's minute, I don't know that he can overturn it.
Touchdown.
Exactly. That's, you know, they called it a touchdown on the field. And so the touchdown makes it 34-14 with Akers' extra point to come.
Yeah, we were talking about how Andy Reid challenged his big guys, and I'll tell you one thing, his big guys are playing very well in this first half.
Akers for the point after. Flag. There was movement on the line of scrimmage. So the Eagles will have a big lead at the half, something they don't squander.
Defensive nosedive. That's a 5-yard penalty that will be enforced on the kickoff. The try for point is good.
35-14. Kickoff will come from the 35 instead of the 30 now.
You were talking about the job that they do. Watch here the block that Artis Hicks gets, and then the fullback is kind of always part offensive lineman, part running back, and more offensive lineman now because they don't ever hand those guys the ball. So they're just like, an extra tight end or an extra guard. And on that play, that's what Josh Perry did as a lead blocker.
Under the category, what a difference a year makes, and you see the last 4 drives, all resulting in touchdowns. Last year, Dallas led the league defensively, and at this point in the season, they were giving up 241 yards per game. Tonight, they've already given up 343 yards in the first half.
Yeah, we're talking about the job the offensive line of the Eagles has done, and you always kind of look at the running game, and the Eagles are averaging over 5 yards per carry, and they've only had 1 sack, and so I think that Andy Reid wanted that group to dominate. Last week he felt they were dominated, and I think they're dominating tonight, if that makes sense.
A lot of sense. They have 92 yards rushing. They're averaging 5.1 yards per rush. McNabb has thrown for 260 yards, and that is juggled, picked up by Lee, and that costs him any chance of a decent run back as he brings it back out to the 11-yard line.
When you're ahead 35-14, here's what they're doing just before half. They're putting the names of the game balls on tape and putting them in the box there because every guy wants to keep his touchdown ball. Every guy wants to keep his big play ball. So there they are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them.
There's 6 of them. There was an extra ball. They're waiting for the next one.
Well, I think one was Pinkston, wasn't it?
One was Pinkston. And there won't be any more touchdowns here. A kneel down. The crowd with the Bronx cheer as the Cowboys leave the field here in Irving. The Rondi and Tiki Barber.
It's a 30-second timeout.
Well, Philadelphia has taken a timeout. Well, isn't that interesting? Philadelphia, because they have another left, and they're going to make Dallas. They're going to make Dallas run a couple of plays here if they can.
Well, the interesting thing that Andy Reid can be thinking of here, Al, is that although they only have one more timeout, so they could take a timeout after second, but they wouldn't have to after third. No, I would say that free kick rule.
Remember they took the timeout after the 60-yard pass. I mean, I don't know if Andy forgot about it or what. It's not like Andy's not going to pile it on. So in this situation,
yeah,
if he had 3 timeouts, he would have taken them. He could have understood that.
If you don't have 3, you shouldn't have taken 1 after first down.
Right. So they'll
just kneel down.
Still kneel down. And now Philadelphia realizing, I think Andy probably forgot he only had 2. Because it's not like Reid to do something like that and try to, even though it's the first half, pile it on.
Right. I think he took that timeout, I think, because Donovan McNabb was just tired from running before he threw it.
Could be. 35-14 our halftime score. Back we come. Halftime from Irving after these messages from our ABC stations. Al Michaels, John Madden, Michele, Tafoya, Texas Stadium in Irving, home of the Cowboys. Philadelphia leading 35-14. 2004. Jerry Jones already on the field. Normally he'll make a much later appearance. But tonight, his team down by 3 touchdowns. In pretty much a must-win game to stay alive in the playoff hunt. And they get the ball here to start the third quarter. And Terrence Copper with a run back to the 26. And we have a penalty on the first play of the period. And it's back at the 30-yard line, meaning that Philadelphia was offside.
You're coming off that loss last weekend to the Steelers. Andy Reid says that, you know, we were embarrassed and we have some things that we have to fix. And he just kind of goes about it like a mechanic. You know, you got something wrong, we got to fix it. And then he goes, he fixes here, fixes there. And then he has the first half with 5 touchdowns.
By the kicking team, number 80. 5-yard penalty, re-kick.
You know, he's so unflappable. We talked about him last year. And, you know, the one thing, too, John, is when you look at Andy, this is a guy who really knows how to get his team back after a loss. They are 15-1 after a loss over the last, obviously, 16 games. So he knows how to get his team back. And Michele had a chance to talk to him a few moments ago. What did he say, Michele?
Well, he talked about his offensive and defensive lines. As you mentioned, John, he wanted to see good play from them tonight, and he says he got it, but he was going to talk to them again at halftime and remind them to keep it going. He also said of that 60-yard pass to Freddie Mitchell from Donovan McNabb, he said, unbelievable, great. This guy has done things in this first half that other players just can't do. He never ceases to amaze me. John and Al?
Well, that's a play that we'll be seeing on highlight tapes for a long time.
That's a play that you run in the park. But, you know, the thing about Andy Reid, he doesn't overreact. You know, he doesn't overreact to a win, and he doesn't overreact to a loss. He just methodically goes about his business of coaching.
Wry sense of humor, too?
Oh, he has that. And you can't be in this business as long as he's been in it and not have some kind of sense of humor.
Kickoff now from the 25-yard line. Rashard Lee will bring it back to the 29-yard line. Philadelphia with a monstrous first half offensively. 343 yards. Those 2 very, very costly Cowboy turnovers. The Eddie George fumble when he had the catch. He was on his way deep into Philadelphia territory and had it stripped. 251 passing yards and 92 on the ground for the Eagles, and just about everything went right for them. First and 10 at the 29-yard line.
Full house backfield there.
Richie Anderson is the tailback. Vinny to throw. Deep over the middle, and there's that man Witten again. Jason Witten, the tight end, to the 46-yard line. Jason Witten with a 25-yard pickup. The man who has scored both of Dallas's touchdowns tonight.
Yeah, and we showed that full house, and that's where Jason Witten starts. He doesn't start on the line of scrimmage. He starts in the backfield, comes in motion to his right, stops right there, and just runs that seam pattern. Just where you get in behind the linebackers and in front of the defensive backs. That's one good thing when you have a weapon like that and you can put him in the backfield and then move him around, it's tough to put a coverage on him.
4 catches, 100 yards, and now Richie Anderson to the 31-yard line, and that is a first down, tackled by the safeties Lewis and Dawkins. So a promising beginning on this drive for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and if you're going to put Jason Witten in the backfield, he's going to have to block too. And watch the block that he makes here on Dhani Jones. I mean, you know, it's not just where you just run a pass pattern, but if you're going to stay in there and you're going to run from that position, you also have to be a lead blocker on occasions.
Eddie George is the running back in this set from the 31-yard line. Ed Witten flanked out to the left. Testaverde looking there, and he finds his man again, Witten. He was flexed that time. You know, John, one thing people were talking about, you know, what would happen this year with the point of emphasis on contact after 5 yards. I think one thing it's done, it's opened it up for the tight ends.
For the tight ends, you know, especially when they're in the regular tight end location, because those linebackers have a tough time of letting them go after 5 yards. And we always thought it would be the corner on the outside receivers, but I think that emphasis on that rule has really helped tight ends.
Look around the league. Gates in San Diego has become a star this year. 2nd down and 2 from the 23-yard line. Eddie George down. He's going to pick up the first down as he takes the ball to the 20-yard line. Last year, tight ends over 50 catches, just 4, led by the Chiefs' Tony Gonzalez. 71 for the season. And this year, halfway through the season, we go down to 35 plus, and there it is. Johnson with 57. Talked about Gates. Witten now has 50. So Eric Johnson with San Francisco, Gonzalez, and you take a look at that, and you have 8 guys in that category. 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. George was blocking out in front and gets to about the 15 where he's tackled by Lito Shepard.
Remember Ben Coates, the old tight end for the Patriots, he played for Bill Parcells, and Bill Parcells really liked him, so he brought him in to work with Jason Witten. He brought him in at training camp, and you know, Witten is doing a lot of those things that Ben Coates did, you know, lining up all over the place, lining up as a wide receiver in the backfield, those kinds of things, and Bill really felt that Ben Coates really helped Jason Witten.
The Tennessean who stayed at home and went to school in Knoxville. 2nd down and 5 from the 15-yard line. George, room inside the 10, and Eddie George powers his way into the end zone.
Well, Jerry Jones said that's what we needed, me down there in the sideline and that full house backfield. They had very good mixture from it. We saw him putting Witten in the backfield. This is what they come out with in the second half, and they've run and they pass. This is a lead draw to the left. Good lead block. Eddie George just runs off that block, and then he's going to run right over Brian Dawkins. Dawkins, a very short tackler, usually doesn't get run through like that.
Eddie George still steaming over that lost fumble in the first half. No kick here. Listen.
That was a pretty good drive. 6 plays, 71 yards. Ran the ball 4 times.
Ball start offense, number 71. 5-yard penalty. Still try.
They are not rolling over. George's longest touchdown run since the 2001 season, 15 yards, and you can tell I said he's still steaming. You remember, if you watch the first quarter, how angry he was, and he hasn't let up.
Yeah, because he doesn't do those kinds of things. I mean, the great catch was thing that Eddie George does, but fumbling is not something. You don't rip the ball out of Eddie George's hands.
From 5 yards farther back, Cundiff is good for the extra point. So 3:45 into the second half. Cowboys keep plugging along, and it's a 2-touchdown game. Take a look at the Eagles start track tonight, a 260-yard half with 3 touchdowns from McNabb. Westbrook 31 yards on the ground, and Owens with 2 touchdowns, 4 catches.
I'd say throw the ball to Terrell Owens for him. Half the time you throw it to him, he scores a touchdown.
And doesn't he love it? Greg Lewis from the 2. Taken down to the 16, so good special teams coverage. Terrence Copper making the tackle. And let's check in with Michele.
Al, when I spoke to Bill Parcells at halftime, he only wanted to talk about his defense. He said, we're just getting killed, and we just don't have many options. He told his defense at halftime, you've got to muster up energy tonight. You can't wait until next week to make changes. He said, Michele, don't make it sound like I'm being scientific. There's nothing scientific about this, Al.
Yeah, they just need to play better, and he said some injuries back there, especially in the secondary. They've been minus Darren Woodson for the entire year.
And somewhere they have to get more pressure on McNabb, and when they do get to him, they got to get him to the ground.
McNabb, time that time, when the pass is incomplete, rifled at toward L.J. Smith. Roy Williams with the coverage on the play. Of course, the play of the game, and one of the great plays of the year, was this one. Carson almost gets the sack with the grain there. And then almost, like, I call it Favrean. Brett Favre, that roll to the left, and then a launch. Strike.
How far do you think Freddie Mitchell ran on that play before he finally caught it?
Well, it was 54 yards in the air, and he probably ran at least another 54 running around. Here's Westbrook up to the 23-yard line. Here's your answer.
I think you're going to be close. Here's Freddie Mitchell here. Now, again, when you have a quarterback like Donovan McNabb, you just stay alive. First thing you do is you come back to him. That doesn't work. You run away from him. 106 yards Freddie Mitchell ran.
60-yard gain on the play. 54 roughly in the air. 3rd and 5. Key stop coming up here for Dallas. Good protection. McNabb throws, juggled but caught. Westbrook tackled by Coakley. Should be enough for the first down.
You know, we talked to Bill Parcells yesterday. I felt that, you know, he watched that Pittsburgh Steeler tape against the Eagles, and they use a 3-man line, and I really had the feeling that he would like to go back to the 3-man line. He would like to be a 3-man line defense, but they've kind of gone another direction here. But tonight he has used a lot of 3-man line, more than I remember him in the last 2 years.
From the 28-yard line. McNabb throwing into a lot of traffic, and that is almost a spectacular catch, but Mitchell could not hold on. Great coverage, Jones and Williams.
That's what they do. They know that on 3rd down, you know, they haven't been going to Freddie Mitchell a lot. He's the slot guy, but when you get in 3 wide receivers, the first guy you usually look to is the slot guy. So defensively, the first guy you double is usually the slot guy. And that's exactly what happens here. And when Roy Williams is on the top end of a double, there's going to be a collision.
And Williams is the guy who was able to punch it away. Almost a spectacular catch by Mitchell. 2nd and 10, ball at the 28-yard line. Again, great protection. Good job by the secondary. McNabb on the run again. McNabb throwing to Westbrook. And he makes the catch at the 28-yard line. He's tackled by Tony Dixon. And McNabb has done it again. Running around 42 yards, and it puts him over 300 for the game.
Yeah, he was looking for Terrell Owens on a cross. You see here, look, he's watching Terrell Owens right there, but he was covered, so he knew that he has that clock in his head. The time was going off. He had to get out of there. He scrambles to the right, and he hits Westbrook. Watch John Runyon right here. He's not going to let Ellis up. Someone may get to Donovan McNabb, but it's not going to be Ellis.
First man through is Levens. Dorsey with some power running. 13-yard gain. Finally tackled by Newman at the 17-yard line.
Well, the Cowboys haven't gotten a lot going tonight, but don't you feel that every time they feel like they're getting momentum, they get something going, boom, the Eagles come right back and answer it.
And they come back so frustratingly for the Cowboys, especially that 60-yard play. And then those 2 scrambles are just killers for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Donovan McNabb. You know, he doesn't have to run with the ball, you know, run it for first downs, but just move to buy time. He's made some great plays tonight.
From the 17-yard line to the ground again. This is Levens. Got a hand on him in the backfield. Has slowed down the momentum. Did Leroy Glover. Gain of a couple.
You know, the interesting thing about those McNabb plays is, as an offensive coach, as his coach, you can't take credit for it because it's all instinct. As a defense, you can't draw up a defense against the things that they're doing. Where a guy runs it out, then he runs a comeback, then he goes up.
What is he doing here?
Well, didn't he just break some record yesterday in Arizona?
We just had him on at halftime. We just showed him. And so Emmitt Smith makes the trip from Phoenix into Dallas. It's 2nd down and 8 from the 15-yard line. And that is caught by Owens, his first catch of the half. Terrence Newman with the coverage on the play, and there's a penalty.
All the old Cowboys come out on Monday night. Starting with Hank Williams, huh?
That's right. Are you ready? Boy, did Emmitt have some Monday night games in
Illegal
his career.
formation offense. Number 87 covered up number 84. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Pinkston covered up Mitchell. And the old Cowboys coming out. There's Troy. Still makes his, like, I guess he's half in California and the other part of the time here.
No, he's here. He's here in Texas. And
Moose.
And there's Moose Johnston. Those were two pretty good Cowboys, weren't they, when they had it going? Troy Aikman was as accurate can be. And I don't know that there was ever a better lead blocker as a fullback than Moose Johnston.
Great promo for Fox. Eddie Gore knows this one.
Great promo for two good guys.
Yeah, 2nd and 13. And to the 16-yard line goes Brian Westbrook. And we saw your old partner was here tonight, Pat Summerall.
Pat Summerall's here. Yeah, they all come out. I saw Nate Newton is down here. I saw him earlier. That's a story.
Roger Staubach, of course. One of the great quarterbacks of all time. Went into the Hall of Fame in 1985. Hugely successful businessman through the years.
You know, the first game I ever coached was the first game he ever played as a pro.
Really?
Yeah, it was a rookie game. Dallas Cowboy rookies against the Raider rookies in Oakland.
There's a timeout taken here by Philadelphia before this 3rd and 9. A little too early to induct Emmitt, but he'll be in there someday. Philadelphia on top by 14. Big play for the Dallas defense here. 2 touchdown lead. They're already in field goal range are the Eagles. 3rd down and 9.
And the Eagles are in the huddle for a long time, so this wouldn't be a bad shot here for a trick play. And I know they have a run pass in the game.
Instead, he drops straight back, throws into the end zone, and Terrell Owens comes up with the football for the touchdown.
That's the one. That's a better choice. You throw to him, he gets 3 touchdowns for you.
And then a slam dunk, 3 touchdown receptions. That one good for 16 yards for Terrell Owens.
And you're going to see him right here, and he's just going to come up and then go out to this area here. You get the tight end trying to get to the outside. Terrell Owens going to the inside and then to the corner. Again, they got double coverage. Terrence Newman is right there. The ball just goes right over his hands and into Terrell Owens's.
Akers to the point after. 12 touchdown catches this season for Owens. He had 3 on opening day against the Giants. He has 3 tonight, and Philadelphia has 5 touchdowns in its last 5 possessions. Thus, it's 42-21. Monday Night Football from Irving, Texas. Most consecutive games with a TD reception in the history of this now 35-year-old program. Owens has now caught a touchdown pass in each of his last 7 Monday night games. 5 of those with San Francisco. 2 of them this season. 3 touchdown lead again, and Richard Lee to run it back for the Dallas Cowboys. And they just won't die. All the way to the 34 of Philadelphia. David Akers, the kicker, takes him down.
That's what Bill Parcells was talking about yesterday, saying that he would like to play Richard Lee more. He's just not sure of him as a running back and pass protection and those kinds of things, but he's pretty doggone good at this as a kick returner. See, the first thing, he gets a ball and you get right up into your wedge as quickly as you can. And then when you get through that wedge, that'll be the first group. Then you make your cut to the outside, and the only guy left was a kicker. David Akers is going to make a pretty good play, though, because he's, as I said, he's the only guy here. You wonder what would have happened if Lee would have tried to cut back.
That's a 62-yard run back. Dallas in business again at the 34 of Philadelphia. Here comes the blitz. Then he sets up the screen. Richie Anderson, but he's taken down by Hollis Thomas, laying back, protecting, and is able to tackle him for a loss of a couple.
You know, everyone's running screens in this league now, and the tackles sometimes are playing it better than the offenses that run it. I think that's what happened that time. Hollis Thomas, you're going to see him he's right here over the right guard. Now, he starts to rush, and then when he feels the screen going, he runs right down the line. So he starts up like a pass rush. Now he feels it, and instead of keep going, he just runs right down the line and cuts Richie Anderson off at the pass.
Gets off his block. 2nd down and 12. Anderson to the outside. He gets taken down. And that Sam Rayburn has really come on.
Well, they really like him. They call him truck driver. And because he kind of looks like a truck driver, plays like a truck driver, he's one of those lunch pail guys that just gets in there and mixes it up in the pitch. He's been playing about 25 plays a game, and Jim Johnson said that's not enough. He's playing too well. So tonight he wants him to get like 40 plays a game.
Got in a car accident this week, too.
Yeah, no, that's a whopper right there. But some guys, like, you know, if your nickname is truck driver and you're Sam, you got to have a big old gash in your head.
Perfect. Torrin Tucker moved, number 77.
And then you're a run stuffer. All those things go together.
Number 77, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Very odd thing about this game, John, we've had 9 touchdowns, no field goals. 63 points.
So again, do you call that good red zone offense or bad red zone defense?
Half empty, half full.
But again, every time Dallas gets something going, then Philadelphia just answers and goes down and score. But Dallas is hanging in there. I mean, then they come back and get something going.
A lot of the TVs from outside the red zone tonight. Testaverde had his arm hit by Javon Curse as he tried to fling it. Flag now after the play.
There was a blitz coming from that side. But the Eagles haven't run a lot of blitzes tonight, but they overloaded that left side.
Offense, number 65. The penalty is declined. Brings up 4th down.
Got his arm hit, and thus it wound up hitting the right guard.
And this is the side of the overload, and you're going to see right here, Javon Curse, he just runs right around Torrin Tucker. He just gets up the ball snapped. It looks like Tucker is a little late off the ball. He doesn't even get out of his stance. Javon Curse was on his outside shoulder.
Matt McBriar to punt. Floater, fair caught, 13-yard line, Lito Shepard. 4:01 remaining, 3rd quarter. The Philadelphia Eagles 42 and the Dallas Cowboys 21. Patriots since the opener against Indianapolis way back in September, but they're on Monday night next week. The world champions taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. New England at KC next Monday night. From the 14-yard line, McNabb on 1st down throws a one-hopper. 2nd and 10 to Michele we go.
Well, and to Emmitt Smith we go. 2 touchdowns yesterday, and as you mentioned, he crossed that 18,000-yard mark. Congratulations. How are things going there in Arizona for you?
Well, so far they're going pretty good this year. I mean, we still 1 game away from 500. We're trying to get above 500. We have something nice going right now with 2 wins back-to-back. So we got our work cut out for us this week against Carolina, but I think we're going to go to battle on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday to get prepared for those guys and try to do the best we can against them.
You were just talking to Jerry Jones, who you told me is still your boss. You come back here to see games. What is it like to be back here?
I don't come back here to see games. This happened to be one of the first games I've ever came back to outside of playing here. So, I mean, it's nice to come back, and I'm only going to be here for a little bit. I have meetings tomorrow morning, so I'm going to be breaking out here. As soon as I get done talking to you, I'm out of here.
Last time you were here as a player, you took a hit from Roy Williams, got injured. What do you remember of that?
I'm trying to forget it, but you keep bringing it up. But, you know, I mean, that's part of the game of football. Roy is such a great player, and he's a hard hitter. And that leg was one of the hardest hits I had in a long time. And so my memories here are all good, all except for that one day. And getting dressed in the visitor locker room was something tough, but that's just the nature of the beast. And I'm happy to be out in Arizona right now with the Bidwills and Coach Greens and my teammates trying to do the best we can to get some more wins and victories under our belt so we can move forward.
You told me before we came on camera that this is the closest experience you've had to experiences you had with the Cowboys in the past.
Right. I think we're playing, I mean, in terms of the atmosphere that I'm playing in, with Denny leading the show, in terms of the way the guys are working hard and preparing ourselves week to week and going in and fighting, it is as close as it's been for me. In terms of being a part of a winning championship team, I think we're working on something out there. We're trying to get there, and we got enough guys working hard enough to get there as well. So we're working hard.
Did you ever consider staying here and playing for Bill Parcells?
I mean, it crossed my mind, and I just never had the opportunity to really talk to Parcells about it. And so I figured it was something that they wanted, and just made it very easy for them and just decided to move forward. It was the best thing for both of us, for me to get out of the way and allow Parcells to come in and do what he needed to do for the ball club, and for me to go on about my business and do what I need to do.
Emmitt, thanks for stopping. We appreciate it.
Right.
You know, last time he came here, he said it was so tough being in the visitors' locker room, he cried, Al.
Well, it's great to see Emmitt, and it's great to see him doing as well as he is. And after a 3-and-out, a short kick, and a run back there by Patrick Creighton to the 38-yard line. Now look at that Emmitt Smith. He's averaging about 19 carries a game in his dotage.
Yeah, and they thought he was all done baloney.
Back in Irving, Texas, as the Dallas Cowboys try to hang in, and they're doing it against a defense right now. Mark Semino is out with a concussion. Nate Wayne is out, strained a hamstring. Corey Simon hasn't played in a while. Keith Adams is in the game. There is Wayne on the sideline. So a little patchwork Philadelphia defensive unit as Vinny Testaverde and the Cowboys go to work in the 37. And Eddie George barely gets out of the backfield. It's Jeremiah Trotter with the tackle.
Well, that was a good play by Jeremiah Trotter in that he just ran through. You know, sometimes a middle linebacker will sit back there and read and try and hit a gap, and sometimes he'll just penetrate. And you see Trotter here, he's going to hit the gap right here, and then he can flatten out. He comes in there, now he flattens out right down the line and gets Eddie George before he gets back to the line of scrimmage. You see him hit the gap right there and then flatten out and come in and make the play from behind.
2nd and 9. Witten goes in motion. George to the outside. But he's taken down by his shirt by Jeremiah Trotter again, working the middle, working the sidelines. Ball out of bounds at the 31, 3rd and about 4 coming up.
Well, Jim Johnson was saying that Jeremiah Trotter had been playing very well. They've been playing him on short yardage and goal line and on special teams. And then he was just a bigger guy than Mark Semino. And you can see rather than playing back, Jeremiah Trotter is playing everything on the Cowboys side of the ball rather than reading and getting knocked back off the line like what happened to Mark Semino.
And now another Philly injury. That's Javon Curse, who is down for the moment. So they're missing Simon. They're missing Wayne. Well, they're missing Semino. Now you've got Javon Curse, who is the other Eagle who's hurt. Got blocked by the tight end Witten, who was working out of the slot here.
Yeah, you see he comes in motion and then gets outside of him. Javon Curse is going down the line and Jason Witten just cuts him. Stuff doesn't bend that way.
Still down is the ex-Titan. Came in with a flourish in his rookie year of 99. Dubbed himself the Freak.
Yeah, running off the field. That's
yeah.
I think he really didn't see Jason Witten. Jason Witten started on the other side of the line of scrimmage, and then it came in motion across the backfield, and then really outflanked him. So when the ball, the last time he looked, there was no one that outflanked him. Then as the play started, he was outflanked by Witten.
Now you've got Derek Burgess going to Kers's side of the line defensively, and Hugh Douglas is in the game. Ball at the 30, 3rd down and 3. A minute and a half to go, 3rd quarter.
You see that wristband of Vinny Testaverde there? He has 102 plays on that wristband.
500-page book. Richie Anderson in the backfield. Toss to Richie on 3rd and 3. And he is a yard short of the 1st down. Tripped up by Lito Shepherd. Flag down.
Well, you know that if it's not against the Cowboys, you know Bill Parcells goes for it on 4th down. I think he goes for it on 4th down more than any coach in the NFL.
Down by 3 touchdowns, 16 minutes to play. You have to.
And I mean, he thinks like on 3rd down.
Offense, number 62. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat 3rd down.
Al Johnson. So that's a 3rd down now coming up. And 13.
Al Johnson was the center. He pulled. There's that wristband I was talking about that they have every play there. You know, 1st down play, 2nd, 3rd and long, 3rd and short, red zone, goal line, short yardage, shots. They have everything. And I'll tell you, I mean, if it's nothing else, it's a heck of an eye chart for Vinny Testaverde. 41 years old. If you can read that like that, then you don't need anything.
You need those little $14 reading glasses.
I mean, I think all your stuff is pretty good if you can read that little writing.
3rd down and 13. Winning tonight. Great pass rating. 3rd and 13 as he retreats here and taken out of the pocket and then making the catch, but falling down is Darian Barnes, and he gets covered up right there. So now you've got 4th down and long in the final minute of the 3rd period.
Well, Bill Parcells isn't going to go for it on 4th down here. Again, and that was that penalty, that Al Johnson penalty. I know that, you know, had he had 4th down and short and he'd not had that penalty, he would have gone for it. I don't know that you wouldn't check a fake here very, very closely.
This would be the spot if you're going to do it. Instead, it's a little pooch kick. Fair caught 16-yard line. Lito Shepherd with 7 ticks remaining. So 1 play for Philadelphia remaining in the 3rd quarter in what is a 3-touchdown ball game. 3 touchdowns tonight for Terrell Owens. Most TD passes in a season in the Eagles' history. Norm Van Brockton, Tommy McDonald, Sonny Jurgensen, and Tommy McDonald in '61 the next year. Ron Jaworski and Mike Quick, and then a dozen McNabb to Owens. And Owens tonight, 3 different celebrations. He had the what I call the skater's waltz. I guess it could be speed skating practice. He had jumping on the mini star in the end zone, and then the slam dunk after number 3.
How many do you think Tommy McDonald had when he did that?
I remember the first guy to ever do that. Well, after Tommy, Brian Westbrook gets taken down, and that's the end of the quarter. So we played 3 in Irving, Texas, with the score Philadelphia 42, Dallas 21. And Monday Night Football will resume after this message from our ABC stations. Back we come as you look at downtown Dallas. We're in Irving. Al Michaels with John Madden and Michele Tafoya. You're looking at Bill Parcells and Andy Reid, and Reid's team trying to go to 8-1 right now. It is the beginning of the 4th quarter, and 2nd and 13 for the Philadelphia Eagles from their own 14-yard line. As McNabb throws, it's caught by Westbrook, and Westbrook takes it up to the 23-yard line. McNabb tonight 336 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 of them to Owens, and Dexter Coakley is down on the artificial surface. Outside linebacker, the speedy 8th-year man from Appalachian State. Brady James will come in to replace him. Injury timeout. This Saturday, Brent Musburger, Gary Danielson with you from Columbus. The Michigan-Ohio State game. Virginia also taking on Georgia Tech. Out on the West Coast Saturday, Washington and Washington State will have at it. 4 p.m. Pacific time. That's your college football on ABC this weekend. Coakley walks off and his play resumes. Owens makes the catch. And Owens out to the 31-yard line for a first down, as Terrell has now caught 6. The first touchdown for Owens tonight, he had that skater's wall / speed skating thing, a combination, I think, of what, Eric Heiden and Hans Brinker right there. Then he's on the mini star in the end zone for his second, reminiscent of a few years ago, out in the middle of the field, and then slam dunk to promote our NBA coverage beginning Christmas Day with the Heat and the Lakers after touchdown number 3. On 1st and 10, going deep. Owens again, but a little too deep down the sideline where he was covered by Lance Frazier.
One thing about McNabb and Owens and Andy Reid calling the plays, they will keep taking shots at you. You know, I mean, a lot of teams, they get this lead, 42-21, they get into the fourth quarter, they slow it down, they run, they try and take time off the clock. Not Andy Reid. Andy Reid just knows one thing. Man, you start firing and you keep firing.
There's that football collection there. 6 touchdowns tonight, 4 in the air, 2 on the ground. Owens comes out for the moment. 2nd and 10 on the 30-yard line. Here's Westbrook swinging to the outside. Nice patient bit of running, tackled by Williams. Gains about 7. Here's Michele.
Well, you guys were talking about wide receiver celebrations, and I talked with a couple of Hall of Fame wide receivers from another era, Steve Largent and John Stallworth. Now, Steve Largent said he had mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, those dances in the end zone are fun and different, but he said on the other hand, it's like a guy standing at the end of the Ford assembly line taking all the credit for that brand new car that rolls off as if no one else had a hand in it. As for Stallworth, he said, you know, it's what the public wants, those end zone dances, so the players are just giving the public what they're craving. What he was critical of, though, guys, was the wide receivers talking to coaches and quarterbacks on the sidelines. He said there's got to be a more appropriate time for that.
Yeah, that happens a lot. 3rd and 2. And McNabb's pass is incomplete, intended for Chad Lewis, and Philadelphia will punt. I mean, how many times have we seen it, John, in the past few years? You've got Keyshawn Johnson talking to John Gruden in Tampa. Randy Moss is always talking to Mike Tice in Minnesota. Dennis Green before that.
McNabb trying to get to Terrell Owens. A week ago, Terrell Owens trying to talk to McNabb. That stuff doesn't bother me as long as you keep your hands off.
Yeah. Johnson's punt. Run back by Patrick Creighton here. And Dallas will begin this drive from its own 38-yard line. Testaverde back into the game. Philadelphia up by 21. First, none the worse for Ware. He's back in the game after he was shaken up on the last series. And now Testaverde goes to work. Starts by hitting Witten here. Gain of 8 yards. Up to the 46-yard line for the tight end.
You know, sometimes when something like that happens, like it happened to Javon Kearse, you know that something could be wrong, and you don't want to get up because you don't want to check everything. But once you do get up and you run off and you check all your parts, you know, your hips, your knees, your ankles, and everything's still kind of in place and working, you know, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
A great sense of relief. 2nd down and a short 3 from the 46-yard line. Witten again, and that's his 7th catch of the night. 7 catches for Witten. Ball will be spotted at the 50-yard line.
You know, don't you feel that Vinny Testaverde is more in tune with Jason Witten than any of his other receivers? You would think, you know, because they played with the Jets together and all that stuff, that it would be Keyshawn Johnson, but just in practice and watching him and playing in the game, I think it's Jason Witten.
Well, Johnson tonight has caught just 2 for 27. Witten 7 catches. He's the team's leading receiver. 52 for the season. Ball at the Eagle 49-yard line, and they give it to Keyshawn on the end around. He tries to turn the corner, and as he does, he is met right there as Brown comes up, and Burgess is the first guy to make contact with him. Spotlight recap coming up here. Donovan McNabb, 345 through the air and 4 touchdowns. 3 touchdown catches for Terrell Owens tonight. He's caught a half dozen overall. We've been talking about Witten. 2 touchdowns for the tight end here. 2 turnovers, very costly for Dallas. And I think if you're Dallas, you go back to that very first play when there was no fumble ruled on that punt return early on. There should have been. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Eddie George picks up a couple, and the crowd hates the play call.
He was talking about Jason Witten and how he's caught so many passes. The wide receivers totally have only caught 3 passes tonight, and so I think a lot of that is scheme. I mean, they've moved Jason Witten around. He's been outside, he's been tight end, he's been in the backfield. A lot of his scheme to get the ball to him. But that's just not enough, is it? I mean, you have to, you have to have a runner that gains some yards and another receiver or 2 that catches more balls.
Averaging over 100 yards receiving in each of the last 4 games for the emerging star. Testaverde throwing, and is lucky that one wasn't picked off. Roderick Hood got a hand on it. Quincy Morgan cut off the pattern.
Yeah, we talk about how they move Witten around. They also move defensive players around, and Javon Curse is in this position again that we call Joker. He's usually a defensive end, but he lines up in a linebacker location, and he lines up just to try and hit that gap and break it and go right up the middle. The Cowboys did a good job of picking him up.
They'll punt. How to get the name Joker?
They just call that linebacker that moves around the Joker.
Joker's wild. Ball winds up in the end zone.
I think it's a word for a guy that's not a linebacker, a defensive lineman playing a linebacker position, and he's wild.
Joker's wild, exactly. Next Monday night, Arrowhead Stadium, always a great scene on a Monday night. Chiefs looking to get healthy here. And the New England Patriots will come to town. Pats Chiefs from Kansas City next Monday night. Donovan McNabb still throwing, but not this time. Flag thrown from the umpire, meaning we're going to have this one coming back on 99.6% of the occasions when the umpire throws the flag. You know what it means.
Donovan McNabb is one of those guys that can still play a game, and have fun and laugh.
Number 68, 10-yard penalty, retreat first down.
Know that he ran all those yards and it was going to come back, and but I guess you can have a smile on your face when you're ahead 42-21. He said last night that that Pittsburgh game left such a bad taste in their mouth that they just couldn't wait to get back to get to this one. And I think they've got that taste out of his mouth.
We talked about whether that was an aberration last week or a forerunner or a precursor to something else. And tonight, at least offensively, I mean, they've been tremendously in sync.
No, they're the real deal. I mean, this is the best team in the NFC.
First and 20, ball at the 10-yard line. Levens. What
was that word you used? The horse racing term?
Oh, the term in horse racing, it's called a throwout race. If a horse wins 6 races in a row,
throwout, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he goes off as a 1-5 favorite, and he finishes 10th. Then you have to say, well, wait a minute, let's throw that race out. He just had a bad day.
Well, that's what that game. But again, they did get whipped though by Pittsburgh. But it is a throwout game, and like we said, Andy Reid just took it and fixed it, and then came back here and just went back to work.
And next week they go home and they take on Washington. From the 16 on 2nd and 14. That's batted and incomplete. Greg Ellis got his hand on it. Make it 3rd and 14. A little bit more right now about Donovan McNabb.
My one-word philosophy, teamwork. My nickname, Big Five. My favorite foods, red beans and rice and macaroni and cheese. The world's greatest athlete, Michael Jordan. Will Ferrell makes me laugh so hard, it hurts. Yeah, I just enjoy life.
And there's Mommy in the shadows back there. Wilma looking on through this binocs, and Westbrook takes it on 3rd and long, and he's going to pick up the first down. And a flag comes in. For the moment, it would be a first down for Westbrook. However, it appears to be against the Philadelphia Eagles, which it is.
87. 10-yard penalty enforced from the spot of the foul. Repeat 3rd down.
I usually say that anytime there's a big run, a wide receiver usually makes a block, and that was Todd Pinkston. And maybe you could add, or they hold.
That win, linebacker.
The middle linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys, who, when things are going well, usually makes a lot of tackles for the Cowboys, but hasn't seemed to have been in on a lot of tackles tonight.
Can't remember calling his name, except for the intros when you had that win, and Marcellus Wiley called himself that dude and haven't called his name tonight either. Wynn leads the team in tackles. 3rd and 15. 8.5 to go in the 4th after the penalty. McNabb chased. Again escapes. Going to his left. Pump faking. Throwing on the run. And it is... you don't talk about a guy all night, and it's that win. There's a flag. I think McNabb, I think, was beyond the line of scrimmage.
And out of gas.
And out of gas, too.
I think McNabb has been out of gas a couple of times tonight. But, you know, he was a basketball player at Syracuse. And a lot of things that he does on the field as a quarterback are basketball-type things. You know, I mean, where you have to quickly get your body in a different position and get rid of the ball.
Number 5 was beyond the line when he threw the ball. 5-yard penalty from the spot of the pass, and a loss of down. 4th down.
You know, as a coach, you'll take that. I mean, when a guy is working as hard to stay alive, to keep the ball alive, to find a guy downfield, and he goes over the line, you're very, very happy with the way he plays. I'd take that kind of effort anytime.
Dirk Johnson, oddly, in a game in which they had 6 touchdowns, and there's a whistle before this one. This will be, in a moment, his 6th punt of the game.
Their play, when I blew the whistle to start the play, some players thought I was stopping the play and took a knee. Therefore, no play. It's 4th down.
That's a first.
I have never heard that one before. He blew the whistle to start the play, and some players took a knee.
Okay.
I think a lot of these players are spent in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been a tough, hard-played game, and I think a lot of them are looking to take a knee.
Yeah, 738 yards of offense combined. Great bounce. Dirk Johnson rolls out of bounds up at about the 45-yard line with 8:12 remaining in Texas. Jeffrey Lurie, his wife Christina there to his off his left shoulder. And what a job he has done. He bought that team about 10 years ago for a then record $180 million. As Testaverde throws, and that's incomplete. And right now, when you look at the franchises in this league, you'd look at Philadelphia and New England with what Bob Kraft has done is very much, I think, the model franchises in the NFL at the moment.
I think they've done a great job. You know, Bill Parcells was talking about the Eagles being in the championship game the last 3 years, and he says, you know, the circus doesn't stay in town forever, but I think Jeffrey Lurie's trying to keep the circus in town forever, and they go out and they get a Terrell Owens. They get a Javon Curse. I mean, they are making their team better.
2nd and 10. That pass is pulled in by Quincy Morgan, who gets position on the defender and brings it in. And, John, so many teams talk about salary cap hell. They come in and out of it, but here's a team in Philadelphia, 3 straight titles, and you can still go out and get an Owens. They got him from from Baltimore, because he didn't want to play there, and it was kind of a convoluted thing, but they wind up with him and have to pay Curse a ton of money, too.
Yeah, and then some of their players they brought in and started molding them before they lost their corners, like Sheldon Brown and Lito Shepherd.
And here comes Jeremiah Trotter, who was an Eagle, and they let him go and wanted too much money, and they bring him back, and he's been very impactful tonight.
Right, they get Jeremiah Trotter, they get Hugh Douglas on the rebound, and the way that Jeremiah Trotter's been playing, as I said all night, he's been playing on this side of the line of scrimmage rather than sitting and waiting. Now, this is a blitz here, and he's just coming to the blitz, but he's been playing uphill the whole night, or downhill. I mean, he's been going at them the whole night, not waiting and catching.
He's been to the Pro Bowl in the past. That's his first sack since coming back to the Eagles. 2nd down and 18 from the 42-yard line. And a flag is thrown at the end of the play.
That was another one of those screen passes, and that time Hollis Thomas, the defensive tackle, read it, and he was going right down the line. He probably read it too well and held.
You know, John, I'm thinking of the Cowboys right now. If they don't win, they're 3-6. Eagles go to 8-1. They're not going to win the division. Long shot for a wild card. I mean, what do you do down the stretch now if you're the Cowboys?
I think, as you said, they have 3 games in 11 days, and there's not a lot you can do. I mean, this is a hand you're dealt. You can't bluff it. You have to play it. I think you play this hand for these 11 days. And then you take those 11 days to make any changes that you're going to make. So if they're going to go to a Drew Henson, I would think it would be the 3rd game from now. You know, let them play this way as well as you can.
Downfield by the offense, number 62, 5-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
These next 2 games and the Thanksgiving Day, and then when you have that long stretch at 11 days, then you make any changes you're going to make.
Well, you've got at Baltimore Sunday, then Chicago here for Thanksgiving, and then the next time we see them is 3 weeks from tonight, and that will be at Seattle on a Monday night. That's December the 6th.
Yeah, and their problems really aren't at quarterback. I mean, Vinny Testaverde's not a big problem on this team.
Another guy who's not a problem is that guy, Witten. I mean, that's a good part of the future. 8 catches for Witten tonight for 130 yards.
Yeah, they just don't have a running back that can be a workhorse and carry the ball 25, 30 times a game. They don't have another wide receiver that's speed, that drive you deep. They know they need those things on offense, and their defense has just really let them down this year.
Very much so, from number 1 in the league to close to the bottom. They've given up 476 yards tonight as Testaverde guns it over the middle, and it's Keyshawn Johnson making the catch, and that'll be a 1st down for Dallas at the 19-yard line. Well, maybe they'll get Julius Jones back, the rookie running back. Could see him by the time they get to Seattle.
Yeah, that'll help. I mean, if Julius Jones is a real deal and can carry the ball 25 times, and then, they can give Vinny Testaverde some protection, but they still need, speed at that wide receiver. And whether Quincy Morgan, he's coming off a hamstring guy, whether he's that guy or not, I'm not sure.
Those guys are in the same draft. Because Keyshawn was the number 1 pick overall by the Jets. To the outside, and that pass is caught there by Patrick Creighton for a tiny gain, if any.
Yeah, that didn't work. That was a one-man screen. You bring Creighton out behind Keyshawn, and he's supposed to block that corner. Keyshawn didn't make the block, so there was no way that Patrick Creighton was going to make a play.
2nd and 10, under 5.5 to go, 4th quarter. Eagles led 35-14 at the half. And Eddie George to the 16-yard line.
And you feel somewhere they're going to throw the ball down here to Jason Witten?
Have to.
Yeah. I mean, that's easy. He's been their one weapon, usually on the right side and going up there and, running an out and up. Or, he ran one of those for a touchdown. He ran a corner for a touchdown from the right side. He's lined up on the right side this time in the slot.
That's Keyshawn outside. And intended for Witten and intercepted by Lito Shepherd. And Shepherd with only 1 man to beat, and he'll beat him, and he gets a block. And then Keyshawn's going to chase him down, but won't get there. Touchdown, Lito Shepherd. 100 yards. Got a good block from Dawkins. And 100 yards for him for the touchdown.
If the Eagles get you down there and they're going to come on a blitz, you're going to see they blitz 8 guys. And they just cover right there, and they were going to Witten. But the corner on that one side, Lito Shepherd, he was playing the outside guy. He saw the ball in the air, came off his guy, and came and made the interception. That is a heads-up play. See, here's the blitz, the pressure coming. He knows that he has one-on-one there, but see Shepherd come off. He was guarding man-to-man on Keyshawn Johnson.
They're going to officially make it a 101-yard return. Akers for the point after. That's the longest return by one player of an interception in Eagles history. They had a longer one with a lateral, but Shepard, 101, makes it 49-21. There you go. You can get a lot of stuff at ESPN.com. You also get a lot of stuff over at NFL.com. 49-21 Philadelphia.
I don't know how friendly they're going to be after this game.
Oui. Terrence Copper. This is the largest number of points the Cowboys have ever allowed in a home game.
Well, you know, when you play against those two, it's always a possibility because Donovan McNabb can throw the ball the length of the field and can keep so many plays alive. And Terrell Owens is such a strong, dynamic player that there are sometimes he's darn near impossible to cover. Now they're playing tag.
Yeah, they're playing. Yeah. It's about the fourth time tonight these guys have. You know, it's kind of like mocking the coverage of last week is what they're doing.
Well, and both of them are that kind of guy. I mean, McNabb loves those kind of things.
Witten up to the 29-yard line. Cowboys will be moving out of here in 2009 in a recent vote. Folks over in Arlington, as you look at AmeriQuest Park where the Texas Rangers play, and John circling that area there. And right there is where the new state-of-the-art Cowboy Stadium will be built, opening in 2009. It'll have a retractable roof and will no doubt put Dallas into the Super Bowl rotation in the future.
And no Jerry Jones, it's going to be the biggest and the best that's ever been built anywhere.
It'll be Texas side.
It'll be Texas everything.
5-yard penalty. Second down.
He's not very happy about that now. You can, you know, have a new stadium and have new television contracts and all that, but doggone it, you still want to win. And I don't care what, you know, whether you're a player, you're a coach, you're an assistant, you're an owner, you're a general manager. I'll tell you, just eat your guts out to lose.
Yeah. It really does, and Jerry's one of the guys that truly lives and dies with winning. 2nd and 12. You know, you say, well, a guy owns a team and that's the way he's going to feel, but you know, there's a lot of, I've seen it in all sports through the years. Sometimes there's a good deal of lip service. You know, it's like the bottom line is the most important thing. If you win, then it's great. If you don't win, you know, you go through the motions. But there are owners who just live and die with every win and loss, and Jerry's one of those guys. Third down and 4 from the 32-yard line.
You know, it's so tough. I mean, you know, we talked about he goes out and gets Bill Parcells as a coach, and Bill Parcells comes in last year, and they really did overachieve. I mean, they win those 10 games, and they get in the playoffs in his first year, and historically, his second year has always been the great year. So now they have all these expectations, and then this happens, and it kind of all started in training camp. I think with, you know, around the Quincy Carter time.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was the story in camp. As the kick will go into the end zone for the touchback. Now you look at Bill through the years with the Giants. He had 3 wins in his first year and 9 in his second. And the Pats, he went from 5 to 10. The Jets 9 to 12. And this year, only 3 wins. Of course, we're only 9 games into the season, but 10 last year. The expectations were high. I think John talked about the Carter thing, which was a shock. And the deal with Carter, he was already in the league substance abuse program. Cowboys got word that he'd failed a second test, which was going to result not in a suspension, but in a 4-game fine. And I remember talking to Bill before the season, and he told us, remember, John, he said, you know what? I can't trust him. And I think he might have meant both on and off the field.
Right, and he said there's no way that a guy you can't trust can be your quarterback.
Dorsey Levens as they'll begin to run down the clock, and Coy Detmer is now the quarterback in garbage time for Philadelphia. Meanwhile, Carter because it was a second test, and the league hasn't really referred to exactly what's taken place, but he has not been suspended. And as we mentioned before, he's now the quarterback with Chad Pennington out in New York and played pretty well yesterday. Jeff Blake now in the game, the former Bengal and Ram, Baltimore. Blake from the 24-yard line hands the ball off. Levens to the outside. To the 2-minute warning we go, and the Philadelphia Eagles will have a nice ride home as they get ready to play Washington next week. They're going to go to 8-1. Big night for Owens, and Philadelphia up by 28. The highways and byways to Kansas City, Mo, for next week's game. Chiefs, Pats.
Yeah, he's added so much to this team. You know, like we talked about before, everyone felt that you could always be physical with the wide receivers of the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, you could bump them with corners and do all that stuff. And then he came in and he was a new sheriff in town. And there's no more defensive backs that want to be physical with Eagle wide receivers.
Career high pass rating for McNabb tonight. Levens. We'll tick it down. It's a first down. He's seen at the horse trailer.
He has a move or a dance for everything, doesn't he? He has one when he scores 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns.
He's pretty creative when you think about it.
Well, so is McNabb. He said, hey, man, you're boring me. Is that the best stuff you got? Bring the high, hard one.
Owens with a hat trick on Monday night. I wonder where he got that skating move from, that opener tonight.
I don't know. You know, it didn't look like a speed skating thing. I think you were right. It looked more like some skating waltz deal. But I like the stuff that he does to get to those dances. I mean, sometimes the dances get all the highlights, but I mean, he made some beautiful moves. That one where he ran that post corner, he started on the post and back in the corner and was wide open against double coverage. I mean, he did some pretty good things to deserve to do those dances.
Fred Gaudelli, Drew Esikoff, the entire gang, Melissa Horton, keeping us in check here. Malibu Kelly Hayes, George Hill, Steve Hurt, all the boys and girls on the gang heading up to Kansas City. And for Bill Parcells, it's another one of those weeks. Andy Reid watches his team get healthy in a hurry after last week's loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. 49-21 is our final score from Irving, Texas. Look at Javon Curse as we close it out. We'll be coming right back because coming up next is the AutoTrader.com post-game show from Irving, Texas.